Is Messi the GOAT? I'm gonna go ahead and say that football is fucking boring and nobody gives a fuck about your lame ass sport. Oh. Alright.
What the frick are you guys doing? A 3D environment classic set!
Let's do this. Okay, I'll take that. Good start for the day. Let's throw one more. Let's throw one more 900 plus. Oh, did you see this Matthew Iglesias W? Dune review. 4.5 stars. Cringe. I saw them in a clip. Nice. I don't know what show I'm doing. I don't know. I'm supposed to make a Zoom room. We're gonna see if it's possible. Is that Sue? Are you awake?
Shout world, I'm feeling cheeky.
Carl's, you're up. What up?
Yo, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Cool. Did you happen to catch any of the hearing today with the CEO of FTX?
No, why? What happened? Did he win?
No, I mean he was just answering questions after he got dropped into the whole mess, but I don't know. Can I just say how R-worded it is that people think of like this as an indictment of crypto, but because like first of all, I listened to some of the comments when you were going over the FTX stuff, and like people have no idea how transaction work, but like this is such a good way to make the finance stuff of these corporations transparent, and people don't realize that.
A good way is to have a bunch of people scam the fuck out of them and then...
No, well, that's the thing. Like, addresses are public record. Like, you can just look up on the blockchain any address and see funds there. And like, that's what they should have done. They should have, for every customer deposit, it gets its own address, and you can always check in and see, yes, like my Bitcoin is still there. And that's what they didn't do. They were just like, okay, we'll just deposit it, put a name with a number, and that's your account. And then we'll take the funds and do other shit with it. And that's fraud. Like that's not what they should have been doing. And realize like they could have been a responsible exchange and just like, okay, yeah, here's your Bitcoin. You can see it whenever you want. We're not moving it at all. And that they didn't do that.
Well,
But anyway, that's my spiel. But are you Are you still betting with Dan that Bitcoin is going to be, 50,000 next year?
I feel like it will. Seems hard to imagine this is the final run up of Bitcoin and now it's gone forever, but who knows? Maybe it's donezo.
It could be.
Maybe
It
it's
could be done.
gonzo garbanzo, you know?
Like the dot-com bubble, but it will return
Think so.
from the ashes like a phoenix.
Will it though?
I don't know. I think like there's always going to be use for it, whether it's remittances or cross-border payments or like a perfect way to ensure collateral with no counterparty risk. Like there are uses for it. It's all arbitrage on the trend. People trying to get rich, and that's what makes it sucks for everyone else.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we'll see.
Also,
Huh?
totally unrelated. Um, have you ever talked to Matt Leck in person? Because I feel like he talks so much shit on Majority Report and stuff, but he never actually talks to anyone in public. So
Well, then you probably wouldn't talk to
I would,
me, I would imagine. No?
yeah, but he you talk to all his friends like, Michael Brooks, Ben Burgess, Sam Sheeter, and Matt sort of just sits behind and talks shit, but never actually enters the arena.
Well, maybe someday I'll get him, okay?
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service, for your viewer calling. We appreciate it. And,
Thank you for
yeah,
your internet debauchery.
you're welcome. Hope you do okay, alright?
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope you do okay too.
Thank you. Be careful in life and everything else, alright?
All right, love you. Bye.
Love you too, bye. Flair, what's up?
Oh, hey, happy belated, man.
Happy belated to you too, dude.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Was
welcome.
that 3 months? Cool.
Dude.
I need some advice, man. I need some life relationship advice.
Life advice. Well, my dude, you come to the right fucking place. What can I help you with, my dude?
So the last like year or two, I've been in a spot where I've been doing pretty good financially, and I've been making more money than a lot of my friends around me. And it's caused some
Nice.
it's caused some interesting problems that I could not have foreseen. Have you ever dealt with anything like that with your other friends? I feel like your friends now probably are pretty wealthy, but earlier in life, did you ever have like your friends kind of expect you to pay for more stuff just because you made more money?
I don't think so. No. Why are your friends doing that to you now or something?
Yeah, just mainly one. And like he comes over a lot of times, we hang out, he's a cool kid, but the expectation's kind of been on me to pay for more. And I had a pretty cheap upbringing, I guess. My parents were always super good with money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and spending even like an extra dollar took a lot out of me when I was younger, and I've kind of been changing that recently. But I kind of just feel a little bit unappreciated. And I don't know if I should just suck it up and just pay for more because I make more money, or just be like, the boundaries and go 50-50. Any thoughts?
Mm, no. Damn. I feel like if someone did this to me, I would just tell them to fuck off.
Problem is though, you ever like I feel like one of my friends, the one in particular I'm talking about, he might actually be poor. I don't know how much money he makes.
Well, can't
I
you
don't
like
ever see him
compromise and like
spending.
go to places like go to Applebee's instead of like the nicest fucking steakhouse in the
Bro,
universe?
no, we don't. It's not even anywhere remotely close to that level. He just comes to my house. He stays at my house. We drink sometimes. I got people over. Like I usually buy the alcohol. I give him food. It's on that level. I think really the problem arose where one time last week he was coming over. We had people over to watch the World Cup, and I asked him. I was like, "Hey, do you think you could get a bottle and we'll just split it like 50-50 or whatever. He's like, nah, like you're paying for it. That was kind of where all this started because like I've probably been paying for like 80% of the stuff when he comes over again. Like I give him food, I let him stay. I buy the alcohol. I just feel like that one time where just the unappreciation I think is what got to me. But again, like at the same time, like I feel like he might actually be struggling with money. So
Yeah, but like if he's struggling with money, like I mean, like this is like this sounds super artistic, but there's kind of like a game that you play when you're struggling with money, and it's where you have a wealthy friend, and at the very least you offer to pay, but you know they're not going to accept it, and they know that you're not really able to pay it, but you still offer anyway because it's the polite thing to do, and you do it to kind of like show respect. Do you know what I mean?
100%. That's been my whole thing too. Is like, listen, dude, I'll pay for you, and I have been paying for you. I don't have a problem with it. It's just the sentiment of like, dude.
Yeah,
like,
they can't act like they're
please say,
entitled to it,
thank
like they're
you.
taking you for a ride. That's like fucked up, you know?
Yeah. But the problem is, like, I caught myself the other day, like, arguing with him about like $15, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't care. And he was like trying to call me cheap, and I was like, bro, like, I really just don't care. It's just a sentiment. But
Yeah, fuck them, bruv. Fuck
all
them.
right, cool.
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah.
That's all I had for you. Actually, one more quick question. Are you actually thinking about getting an annual prescription? I feel like people probably asked you this a million times, but
Getting a what?
annual prescription?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Did you ever feel like when you were on it, your brain worked a little bit slower than normal?
I
It was
just
like,
liked it
oh,
because I was...
euphoric.
The only reason I liked it is because I felt very chill and very present. That's what I liked. Like, yeah, like I went through like a whole day. I was able to listen to people talk. I was doing like a dinner with friends. I didn't feel like I needed to be on my phone. I didn't feel like I like had any problems. I felt like super, super, super chill. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I have one too, and I feel the same exact way.
But I don't know
the
if I would
problems when
take one
work-
to like... Yeah, I don't know if I would take one to work or not. Or maybe I would.
How are we
I'm not
feeling
sure.
today?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm more concentrated on my work, but I legitimately feel like I'm one standard deviation, like my IQ is one standard deviation lower. Like I make more mistakes, like I can't think as clearly when I'm trying to work. But yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, man. Appreciate the thought.
All right. Also, listen, your friend is right. You are poor because you need to buy a fucking better microphone. So don't take him out for one day and get a real fucking microphone so we don't have to suffer through this cuck-ass bullshit. There's no
Wait,
excuse.
is it really that bad? I'm on my AirPods, bro. I'm not
Oh,
a
that's
fucking
why
nerd.
it's
I'm
bad.
not on,
Yeah, it is bad. It is bad.
I don't have a Windows computer. I'm on my Mac. Okay.
Okay.
All right, man.
Okay. Rip, bows. I'll see you later. Love you. Bye. Oh, lulu. Ooh, lulu. Nathan.
Happy
Oh
birthday,
my
Paul Rudd.
god, I hate moving. What? No TV box. We will cover it with a blanket. Moot alert. Oh, we saw this. Oh no, Destiny. What
Do
is
you
this?
think that's the only black people stereotypical shit I know?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm pretty sure at this more racist scale.
This guy said level 0 100. This nigga's back's different. His back's crazy. His racism back is crazy. I don't want to see this nigga. I don't want to see him on my timeline again. How do I
His racism bag? What is that? Do I have like a bag full of it?
get him off? This guy. Level 0.
Do you think that's the
Can be on advanced levels of racism here, okay? Jesus, stop, guys, chill.
Why do you move so goddamn often?
I don't know, dude. Well, I moved here because Mood and everybody lived here, but now they all fucking moved away, so now I'm moving. The next lease I'm signing though is for 2 years, so at least I won't be moving. I'm pretty sure I've moved once a year for the past 4 years. Right? Because I lived in Glendale, then Culver City, then Huntington Beach, now in Miami, and now over Miami Beach next year. Fuck me, dude. Boom. What happened with the DSP interview? I don't know. He just stopped responding. New Places Fiber? Yeah, bro. I got the God Fiber. I shouldn't even bought it, but they like, I was like, do you have anything faster? And she's like, do we? Then she was like, I'll tell you, but you got to tell me, are you a punk bitch? And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what's like your max speed? And she's like, first you got to tell me, are you a punk bitch? And I'm like, no, I'm not a punk bitch. And she's like, I'm signing you up for the 5 gig then. And I'm like, God damn, 5 gigabytes. And then she said, no, gigabits. That's how we measure speed, you dumb fuck. And I was like, oh, 5 gigabit per second fiber. God damn. I don't even know why I bought it. I don't need it. There's like no reason for it, but I'm going to start hosting a fucking data center in my apartment or some shit. Jesus. Does your mobile even have a 5 gig Ethernet port? Good question, actually. Aren't the new gigabit switches, aren't they all rated like for 10 or 100? I feel like, I don't know what the Cat 5e6, whatever the fuck bullshit, I don't know. No.
Thoughts on a smart gold
Oh, wait,
star
I need to
tapes?
do this. I have to do this. Stop distracting me. Okay, Zoom. Okay, these people want me to create a Zoom link. I don't know how to fucking do this shit. Your Switch is probably 1 gig. My router better be rated for some advanced shit because it's that stupid Amplify thing that Dan told me to buy that was like $400 and it does nothing, okay? No features or anything except it looks pretty. So... Okay, Zoom. How do I send a link? How do I make a call? New meeting. Oh, there I am, connecting. Join with computer audio. Participants. Invite. Okay. Hello? Oh, email, fuck. Choose your email server. Oh my god. Oh, invite. Copy invite link. Fuck that, let's just try this, okay. Boom, 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 boom. Here's a list of topics we like. Oh my god. Here's the Zoom link, exclamation mark. I don't even know why I agreed to that. Oh, because I think they had like a few million followers on TikTok. I emailed her the Zoom link, exclamation mark. I don't know how red pill these people are, so prepare. Prepare for pain. Prepare for pain. Oh. Okay, shit. Arrow frame, pull, boom, boom. Iron stick. Yes. Beryllium. Plate. Yes. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Yes! Oh my god, this is a little bit sloppy, just like what your mom gives me, some sloppy toppy. Wait, I don't need to go all the way over there. Boom, boom. Oh, actually, we can just go right here, I think. Yeah. Boom. You see the thread about researching advanced beacons? I don't think it's going to change my base that much. I'll just wipe out the beacons that I currently have. Like, I'll be okay. Let's see, how fucked is this? I think this should be okay. Stock cake. Stock cake. Networking interface, Wi-Fi, gigabit. Oh, that's okay. I'll just have 5 computers hooked to my router that are all pulling 1 gigabit per second. The WAN interface is a gig. Oh, well, looks like I'm buying 5 routers then. I don't think anybody's going to join this. Oh, shit. Somebody's coming.
Hello?
Hello.
Is this, yeah, I can see your face. Destiny, do you want to be called Destiny or Steve for the stream?
I'm going to go with Steven on that one, okay?
Alright.
There we are.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah. Also, I'm live, so don't say anything crazy, okay?
Say again.
Okay.
I'm live, so don't say anything
We're
crazy.
live.
Okay.
That's all he does is talk crazy.
Destiny, do you go by Destiny or
Steven, definitely Steven, please, God.
Okay.
Yeah, I just asked that.
Steven,
So
do
you're
you
live
mind,
already?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you-
Well, what?
do you mind allowing us to record? Can you give us permission on Zoom?
Yeah. Oh, do I have to do something for
Okay.
that?
Yeah, you got to press a button.
Can you try to record and it'll like give me a pop up and ask me, or?
No, it just says, please ask the host to give you permission to record.
Oh, he's got to do it from his end because he's running.
Yeah.
Running it, so he needs to give you permission.
Do you know where it is?
On Zoom.
On Zoom.
He should have it on his end.
Sam, do you know? Because I
Okay,
think
what
you
about now?
gave us
Can you try now?
permission. Oh, let's see.
Recording in progress.
Oh, we got it.
Yes, that works.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Well,
All right. So did you want to do the intro?
I'll get a quick snap.
Okay.
For us, we're good. We're recording on this end.
Yeah, it looks like we're good on our end, Stephen.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all set up on my end. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, me
Thanks
too.
for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Can you introduce yourself first, Stephen?
Yeah. My
It
name.
is your channel.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to
For
just?
us, because we may repost it.
Yeah, you're good. Oh, so do you want me to just do this as so like I'm for your channel basically, like a full introduction, or?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be
gotcha.
great.
Yeah, my name is Stephen Bonnell. I go online as Destiny. Some people know me from my YouTube channel, or no, just my YouTube channel right now. And yeah, I do politics online. I'm like a center left, far left person, depending on who I'm talking to. Not as far left as my hair would have you think, but yeah. And then I guess we were talking about like I think it was like relationship red pill stuff or something today, right?
Right. So
Yes.
we're both in the dating relationship spheres,
Mm-hmm.
both Wheat Waffles and us, the Emily and Todd podcast. Wheat Waffles has been on our channel before, and we've had some interesting discussions about specifically dating apps and just sort of the dating world today. And I know that you've had some interesting input as well
Mm-hmm.
on your channel. But let's turn it to Wheat Waffles. Can you introduce yourself too?
I just want to hear how much Destiny knows real quickly about the manosphere, because I know you're not a, dating oriented channel. You mainly, as you mentioned at the beginning, you're mainly politics focused. So, but it sounds like you have a little bit of knowledge. Like you mentioned red pill. Have you ever heard of black pill though?
Yeah, I guess like the sub communities I'm semi familiar with would be like MGTOW, PUA, red pill, black pill. Yeah, I'm sure there are probably others too, but those are probably the ones I'm the more familiar with. So black pill is like, I guess it depends on how extreme you are, but it's the idea that you've taken the black pill and you've realized that certain guys are going to get certain girls, and there's very little that you can do to change this unless you're willing to get like cosmetic surgery or something, and you're kind of just like fucked, and there's not much you can do to escape those circumstances if you're like a normal average guy. I think that's like black pill stuff, right?
If you wanted to say that that was a very extreme version of black pill, I'd be more on your page. But I don't think black pill would go, anywhere near that far. Like 99% of black pillars would never say anything close to that extreme. But the reason why, you might think that that's what the black pill is saying is because when you go to the comment sections of, say, my channel or other black pillars channels, you're always going to get that bias to the more extreme side because that's the loud minority talking, and they're the most hardcore black pillars who, say random stuff such as, oh, if you're not 6'4" Chad, then it's over. You might as well give up. If you're not in the top 5% or the top 1%, you might as well give up. It's over. There's no point. That's what you'll see in the comment section. But if you watch my content or a couple other Blackpool channels content, you'll see that it's a lot more modest and grounded in reality. It's more data driven. It's more like objectively focused rather than nihilistically focused.
What's going to be the difference between like moderate black pill versus like red pill content?
So red pill, the main difference between red pill and black pill, in fact, it's a little, I can nuance it like really precise, but this will take a couple minutes to explain because the red pill is actually broader than a lot of people think. Like when people hear red pill, they're just like, oh, that just means self-improvement, bro, just get a haircut, bro, just learn game, bro, all of those things. But I've actually looked at the red pill community, the different channels in the space on YouTube, and it's a lot broader than people think. There's actually some sides of the red pill that are actually closer to black pill than they are on the other sides of the red pill, if that makes sense. So if I could just explain it for a couple of minutes, I could give you a very clear picture. So there's three main factors in the manosphere that people disagree on, and those are the importance of looks, how much you can change your looks, and whether women are hypergamous or not. And there's some red pillars that reject all three of those. So they would be your pickup artists because they believe that game is the most important thing.
Mhm.
So they don't believe that hypergamy exists because they believe even if you're a 3-4 out of 10 guy, if you've got perfect game, you can still pick up a 7 or 8 out of 10 Stacy. And obviously they reject the importance of looks as well because they think it's mostly about game. And they reject the genetic component too because anybody can improve their game. But then when you look at the black pill, which is the complete opposite of, that way of thinking, they reject the importance of things like game. They're mainly focused on looks. And then they believe that you can't change your looks all that much. And they believe that women are hypergamous. So they only want to date guys that are more attractive than them. And just to give one more example of how the red pill can be close to the black pill, because there's one subset of the red pill which believes in two of those three pillars that I just mentioned, but they're still classed as red pill because they do believe that women are hypergamous, and they do believe that looks are very important, but they reject the idea that your looks are determined by genetics. So these guys are mainly like focused on gym, improving your fashion, improving your style. So they believe that women only want to date guys that are more attractive than them, but they believe that if you want to get into that position, you just need to improve your looks to a point through things like gym, style, hair, grooming, and so on.
Okay.
That's like my basic overview. So, I think if you just look at that, if you zoom out from all what I've just said, that, one aspect of the red pill where they're mainly focused on gym, style, hair, I would argue that they're actually closer to the black pill than they are the pickup artist guys who are more concerned with game and, dating not being hypergamous.
Gotcha. Okay.
Awesome.
So do you have anything to respond to that?
I sound like I would fit like pretty squarely in the red pill camp there then, I guess, if that's
Okay.
how we're different.
So if we ask one by one then, of those three pillars, how much, like, to what extent do you agree with each of them? Like in, just a percentage, like 0 to 100. So 0 to 100, are women hypergamous?
Is hypergamous for just dating or for sex? Or what do you mean when you say hypergamous?
So they want to date guys that are higher up the ladder in X, and whether X be status, looks, wealth, anything like that.
Or just your total SMV.
Yeah.
Well, that's a hard one because like everybody wants to date somebody higher than them in some regard, I would imagine, right?
Okay, so that means that you do believe that women are hypergamous then. You're 100 on that.
Yeah, women and men, I would say I'm 100 on are both hypergamous, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I disagree with the men being hypergamous,
Okay.
but we can get to that in a second. But just based on that alone, you're not based on the fact that you agree that people want to date up, that women and men are hypergamous. That means that you reject this idea that some 4 out of 10 guy with unbelievable social skills and game can seduce an 8 out of 10 woman at a bar because he's got that just raw skill, that raw game.
Well, I mean, I feel like the tricky part here is going to be in defining the words of like what does it mean to date up, or what does it mean to prefer something up? Because I would say that like probably like I mean it's going to be reasonable depending on how you look. Like if you're a horrifically scarred face missing one arm, and you're probably not going to pull a 10 no matter how good your game is. But I think that like most guys can be like a 6 or at least like a 6 or 7 if you like do a haircut, like take care of yourself in terms of hygiene, like have a decent pair of fitting clothes, and that those guys can pull pretty far above what I think a lot of people online would think they could pull. So I don't know if that's at ends with the hypergamous thing. I think we have to define pretty rigidly what it means to like date up or look up in something, I guess.
Well, I could hopefully give a accurate answer to that. That hypergamy is more concerned with SMV, and I don't think that social skills is a component of SMV. Rather, it's like the communicator of SMV. It's similar to like
is that like social male value or something. What is SMV?
It's sexual market value.
Oh, sexual.
So
okay.
Everyone's got their own opinion on what goes into sexual market value, but people mainly disagree on the proportions rather than the components themselves. So everyone agrees, like the red pillars and black pillars alike, that part of your SMV will be looks, part of your SMV will be your status, your money, things like that along those lines. Your height goes into it, your dick size goes into it, your even things like your voice. Like if you've got a really high pitched voice, then that's like lower SMV. But then it's widely considered that social skills aren't a part of your SMV because that's like the communicator. Like it's delivering the SMV to the person you're talking to.
So could two people have the same sexual market value but different social skills?
Yeah. So they could have the same sex. So if there's 2 guys, they're both 6 foot tall on the dot. They're both like a 6 out of 10 in the face. They both have the same income and like wealth and status, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them's got, far better game and social skills. Then obviously he's going to outcompete the other guy because he's beating him in that department.
Okay, but that wouldn't be considered part of his sexual market value?
No, I wouldn't consider that. And I think that most people in the manosphere would agree with that they think it's separate. You do have like a very small subset of people that think that game is a part of your SMV, but I don't think it's really tied. I mainly hear the argument that game is like what sells your SMV. It's like in sales, the product is the product, and then the sales pitch is in essence the game aspect of it.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. All right, interesting. Yeah, I'm chilling. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just so we could like wrap up this thing, because I know it's taken a while to explain, because you're not like a hardcore manosphere participant, but just to go through the 3 things then, if you had to say 0 to 100 on each of them, just so I can, for my sake, so I can get an idea of where you stand. So women are hypergamous, 0 to 100. How much would you agree on that? That they want to date guys higher SMV than them?
Fuck. If the problem is just it's that SMV formula, I'd probably say no. Then I'd probably say that people probably are about on the same level. That's what I would say. They probably shoot for about the same level. That's probably what I would say. But we'll probably get into the weeds on that later, I guess. That's probably right.
Okay. Okay. For the sake of continuity, the importance of looks. So women want to date guys mainly for their looks, 0 to 100.
I'd probably do that at like probably 40-ish.
40. Okay, that's fair enough. And the last one, your looks is mainly genetic.
I'd probably do that at like 40-ish.
40 as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So you think the majority is the things that you can change your look, such as going to the gym, improving your style, your fashion, fixing your hair, grooming, skincare, things like that. And then the genetic components will obviously be like your facial structure, your hairline, your height, your frame, your like muscle building potential and things like that. Okay, sounds good. I think I've got a clear picture. I know me and you have been talking a lot, so I want to give Emily and Todd a chance to give their opinion. I don't want to come onto the show and just dominate the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Sweet Waffles. Yeah, so I'm Emily King. I have 2.5 million followers on TikTok. I'm kind of new to the manosphere, to be honest. I kind of fell into it after I started gaining a following on TikTok about 2 years ago is when I started that. And I'm just kind of a, I guess, real world normal person that was working a 9 to 5 and started posting in 2020 some TikToks to do with my own relationship and started falling into more like dating advice because I had been out of the dating world for about 12 years and had like re-entered it. And I saw the differences. Quite different compared to when I was like back in high school, especially because in between, dating apps started to become developed, and that seemed to be like the majority of where people were meeting. And I was seeing like a lot of content, especially on TikTok, of women complaining about men. And honestly, like it hadn't been my experience, seeing these horrendous things supposedly that men were doing. And I wanted to kind of speak to that. And so some of the content that I started creating had to do with validating some of the things that like men wanted, especially since I was seeing that skew of, women were expecting men to put in all the effort, especially initially on dating apps. And, they were complaining that there were no good men out there. So yeah, I started getting some traction from guys, I think, that felt validated by the struggles that they were having. And yeah, and then, we just started this podcast kind of centered around dating and relationships, mostly starting with dating and talking about struggles that men are having. And yeah, it's been a couple months now. And
yeah, so
I'll let Todd.
Yeah, we're still pretty new.
Yeah, we're still pretty new, but I'll let Todd introduce himself.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Todd, and my background is I'm a psychotherapist.
Mormon vibes are heavy RN.
In private practice for 25 years. So I'm kind of the elder statesman here, even though I probably have the lowest IQ.
You said, did you say psychotherapist? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, yeah, I've been in private practice, and also I've never been married. And so I've been in and out of relationships my entire adult life. And so I've seen firsthand the changes and shifts in the dating market from when I was in my 20s to now being in my early 50s. And so that, and I've also worked with tons of young men that are really struggling now. And so the combination of kind of my own personal experiences and just, working with so many guys, I think has given me, insight into, kind of what's going on as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think what we want to start talking about initially, at least, is what do you think is the impact of dating apps now, Stephen? And what is your opinion about men that you hear are having struggles or what they're saying about dating apps? And what do you think is sort of the things that they could do to help resolve those issues?
I feel like dating apps have like, I think that dating apps can be a big downer if you're a guy, because it's like the most direct, like hardcore competitive environment to try to like basically, depending on the app you're on, like just trying to fuck somebody. And these environments haven't existed like this before, where like men and women can just go to some like giant like internet repository, submit their profiles, and see who wants to have sex with them. So I think that it's a pretty unique thing that is kind of like just appearing now. And if you don't have much success on it, I think it can probably wear you down very, very, very quickly. I do think people take them a little bit too seriously sometimes. Like, it's very easy for especially men to get discouraged if they're not getting good results in like a couple days or a week or whatever. And it feels like people are pretty reticent to try to figure out like more successful strategies, but rather they kind of just figure that like they're fucked or they can't do anything, or there's no way that they can succeed on these apps because they don't have the right looks or profile or something outside their control, basically. So yeah, I mean, I would say that dating apps have probably been overall, I guess, good for some people, bad for a lot of people's self-esteem, but we obviously need to find a better way to deal with kind of the newer dating markets that exist today that haven't really existed this way historically.
And what would those be, those better ways?
Well, I guess it depends on where you want to go with it. I think that a lot of men are, I would say, socially retarded. I think that for a long period of history, I think that as a man, all you've basically needed is a job, and you're kind of like guaranteed almost to get a woman because women traditionally weren't working and they needed somebody to kind of provide for a household. But I think as women have gotten the ability to control their reproductive health, so they're not like having kids really early, and then as they've entered job markets, so they have the ability to provide for themselves, I think men have been put in this awkward position where they have to provide something more than just a paycheck or just a salary. And I think traditionally we don't really have the training to do that. We don't have the training to succeed in relationships where you have to actually put forth some amount of social or emotional maturity or effort. We would just like traditionally kind of expected to have a paycheck and for that to be enough.
Well, it's interesting. I have I agree with the premise of what you said. I agree with everything you said with regard to how, dating has changed, like historically. Because when you look at dating historically, then of course the main thing that guys would be bringing to the table is their wealth, through means of a job. But obviously, that's all changed now because women are in the workplace. We live in, the developed world where resources are a lot more abundant. So it's not a case of life or death for when a woman gets pregnant anymore, and or at least living in extreme poverty, because the like welfare programs are a lot more generous nowadays as well. So I agree, with that but compared to 50 to 100 years ago, the importance of wealth in today's dating market has decreased significantly in terms of what guys can bring to the table. But in its place, I would argue the thing that's replaced that is looks. Because if you look at, the way that Instagram has come through, and Tinder's like been introduced in the last 10, 15 years, looks is at the forefront of that. There's not really much that you can convey value with regard to social skills, or things like that, when it's mostly online nowadays. That's how most people meet up and, advertise their boyfriends if they want to show him off. It's mostly about looks, in my opinion. That's what's taken the place of wealth.
Yeah, that's just not I just don't feel that way in terms of like communicating with women or talking to women. It doesn't feel that way at all. I guess like for Instagram or for like Tinder profiles, I guess the first thing you can kind of see is looks, but I don't know how we would resolve a disagreement there in terms of I feel like I know like so many beautiful women that when they're like qualifying like the types of men they would date or the types of guys that they're in relationships with, I feel like more often than not I see like really pretty women with not as pretty guys, but like usually the guys are bringing something else to the table. Like they're either really funny, I guess it could be like really wealthy, but they're excelling in some other area besides just being like giga chads.
Well, I have a video on my channel. I could just bring up the exact reasons that I could summarize again here for why I believe that looks is becoming more and more important in today's dating market. And how many reasons did I have? I had 4 reasons. So the first is technology, which I kind of already summarized. That when it comes to online, looks is at the top of the pyramid, and online dating is, becoming more and more dominant nowadays. But when it comes to things like game, personality, money, status, they're at the bottom of the pyramid for online. The second reason is the number of options women have. Like women have more and more options because of online dating, and because they have this many options, they need to select through those and filter down.
Wait, do women really have more and more options with online dating? I don't think I agree with that.
Oh, 100%. Just do a quick YouTube search of woman Tinder experiment.
Mhm.
In fact,
Yeah.
go even to the next extreme of that. Do below average looks woman Tinder experiment, and you'll have some 3 out of 10 overweight woman getting hundreds of matches on Tinder.
Yeah, so here's something that I want to be really careful about, and I notice this a lot when it comes to online conversations, especially in the pill communities. People are very quick to throw into one basket dating and sex, and I think that's a massive mistake. I think those two need to be wildly separated, because people will say these things where people say like, oh, women have more options than ever before. I don't think that's true. I think that women have probably more options when it comes to finding random guys to fuck, for sure, but Tinder hasn't made it so that 3 out of 10 whale is now dating a guy earning $150,000 a year. Like, I don't think the options for who a woman can date has expanded much. Maybe for who they can have sex with that isn't like normally in their immediate communities, but I don't think it's changed the dating connection too much.
Yes, I agree. I agree with what you've just said there, that dating and sex does need to be separated in terms of what a woman can get. And I don't think that a woman's dating genuine relationship options has increased all too much, but her sex options has exploded like magnitudes upon magnitudes because of online dating. But why I still, don't agree with you is because it's not about, what works in theory. It's about perception. Because when you look at these women who are on dating apps, what is going to be their perception when they get all of these matches? What is going to be their perception when they're on Instagram and they're getting hundreds of guys spamming their inbox, liking their photos, commenting how hot an average woman is? Her perception is going to be, wow, like I've got so much attention nowadays. Her ego is going to get inflated. So
yeah,
even though,
women have been,
99% of these guys are just interested in wanting to have sex with her, she's not seeing that side of it.
Yeah, I don't think this is very different than historically how it has been. I think that it's just more visible now. So like we feel like it's way different. I don't know if Emily wants to chime in on this, but like here's something that shocked me. In talking to a lot of women, if you ask a lot of women, when is the first time like older men started to hit on you? My assumption would have been like, I don't know, probably like maybe 15, 16, 17. I have so many women that tell me that like as young as like 10 or 11 years old, they start to get like creepy guys that'll start to hit on them. I think that since the dawn of time, when women have been like getting offered dick through basically every single interaction with a man for basically like their entire like from 12 onwards. I don't think that online dating has changed that, or online dating has made that different. Like, oh, like 50 years ago, women were never used to every guy in their area trying to fuck them, and now all of a sudden it's changed because of Instagram and stuff. I don't agree with that. I think it's just become more visible for men, and I agree with what you're saying that the perception is important, because now in a man's mind they're like, oh my god, like it's crazy how many guys are trying to fuck all these girls, that's wild. But I think for women historically it's like, yeah, that's literally always been our lives. Like that's never been different than it is right now, I think.
Well, Stephen, I can speak to this just because, again, I've been in the dating market. I actually disagree with you, and the reason is because of the fact that most people had a very small area in which, and you could easily poison the well then if you had that kind of behavior. But now, in an even average size city or a big city, one of these top 5-10% guys can go on a rampage where he wouldn't have that access in the same way. He would have to work a lot harder. He would have to be going to bars and cold approaching every night. And, it's one of those things where he's probably not going to be cold approaching 4 out of 10 women if he's an 8. But you know what? If he's horny and he goes on Tinder, he can easily hook one up and have him come over at 2:00 in the morning nowadays.
Yeah, there's easier access.
Yeah, I mean, like the dating apps might make it a bit easier to like actually find and connect to somebody, but I'm speaking to the specific claim that like girls' minds are changing because they're getting so many offers on their DMs and stuff. I think that historically women have always been getting a lot of offers or propositions for sex. I don't think that in particular has changed. In terms of like, are people able to find people just for sex more easily? Yeah, that's true, but I don't think the offer has changed much for women. I think they're, again, traditionally have always been getting offered sex by everybody.
Well, if I had to rephrase it, I think if it's gone from, 50 years ago, it was like moderately high to nowadays astronomically high. Obviously women would still be getting a lot of offers 50 years ago, but their social circles will be a lot smaller. They're mainly going to be getting offers in the warm approach, which is what Todd alluded to, where guys can't spam approach. They can't run the numbers game there because they're going to poison the well. Because if you approach 2-3 women in that kind of environment and you get rejected all 3 times, then all of the girls are going to gossip and say, oh, that's just a guy who hits on every girl in this environment, so we got to stay away from him because he's a creep. Like nowadays, the number of options women has definitely exploded. I would say at least 10 times because of mainly online dating, but then there's also a couple other reasons, such as interconnectivity. Like we live in bigger cities nowadays where, before it was mainly like in rural areas, and there's more like, access to transport where, people can travel across the city to city, very easily, when before you were mainly limited to your surroundings and the few people around you. So
yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't think
women's options has exploded.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if I agree. Like women wouldn't fuck a guy, you're saying, because he's a fuck boy. I feel like even when I was in high school, like, yeah, like people knew who fuck boys were, but it's not like if you got caught like fucking one or two people, like no woman would fuck with you. It's just you'd probably like be burned as far as relationships go, but you could still like find people to have sex with. I mean, I'll broadly agree that the number of options has probably increased due to like the fact that we live in bigger cities. They're like the groups of people are expanding or whatever. I just don't think it's quite as dire. I don't think it's quite as significantly different. Like before, like women were barely being propositioned, and now like the average girl is 100 guys on Instagram DMs. I think that those two things represent two extremes that aren't real. I think that a long time ago, a lot of women were still getting propositioned pretty often, and today the average girl is not getting 100 guys like DMing her on her Instagram. I feel like the two extremes are being represented too polarized here. That's my feeling on it.
I do think that there's some balancing that's occurring because like when I was younger, I think that there were more guys approaching in person and like, sending notes through the drive-through of the bank, and trying to hit on women that way. I don't think that really happens nowadays. I think that that's more of like, let's find this woman on Instagram and then DM her. So it's just like a different location in which it's occurring.
Yeah, that's probably true. Instead of like numbers, people are asking for like, what's your Instagram, what's your IG or whatever. Like I hear people say stuff like that. Sure.
Yeah, which is interesting. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. I do think that it widens the social circle. So like, when I was first thrown back into the dating world, if I hadn't gotten on a dating app, or social media, there's literally like nobody around me that I thought of that I would want to date or that would be available to date. So, so I definitely was not like getting approached then. So it was like the dating apps and social media that opened the door for more of that. So I do think that there's that difference, especially once you're getting to an older age, and you're not in college. Or you're not in high school anymore.
Sure. Yeah. The dating apps have definitely helped if you're outside of like work environments that are co-ed or college, because outside of those environments, you have to make a really big effort to meet people, except for dating apps give you the ability to do that.
Yeah. And as far as the looks importance, like I do think that dating apps have skewed it because it is the first thing that you see. I think that it objectifies both men and women a bit more and, makes looks more important. But I do think that overall looks to women are a little less important, I think still, than men. Because I think that women are still looking for some of those other aspects that they want, which, includes status.
Yeah.
And
I think you're talking about, for
relationships. Yeah.
But it's something that it's really difficult for women who are able to hook up with these high level guys than then to just say, okay, I'm going to marry the plumber then.
Oh yeah. Like,
you know what I mean? But that's what's, I think, occurring is that a lot of average women are able to hook up with these guys. So they think that they can get relationships from these guys, but they can't.
Yeah. It's not the same thing.
And then they end up single because they're not going to settle in their mind for someone who's at their level.
I've seen that even outside of looks though. Right. So like what you were alluding to with the, how much money is he making per year? If she starts hooking up with a guy that's making $200,000 a year and then it doesn't follow through with a relationship, and then for her to like backtrack down in her mind to a guy that's making far less, like I have seen that be an issue.
Or I was thinking more of the looks. If you're with, a Giga Chad, as Stephen put it, and that's what you have access to that, but you don't have relationships access to that. It's really difficult to then date Joe Schmo who's the 5 SMB. What's your thoughts on that?
I just super disagree with that. But I like,
Okay.
it's so hard to quantify it, but like it just flies in the face. And it also could be like different social groups that we're in too. So maybe like different girls evaluate things in different ways. But I feel like women, I think men do this to some extent too. I know I do this. I think most men do this, but I feel like especially for women, I feel like the way that they view a guy is highly influenced by their relationship with that guy, or like how he interacts with that dude, like or how she interacts with a guy. Like I've seen so many guys that are like super mid, but like the girl is like super in love with the dude, and she's like, oh no, like I really like it, like I like his belly because it feels nice against me, and or like I like his whatever, like random shit. You're like, this is not like a traditionally attractive guy, but they get along like super well. They've got a lot of chemistry. She gets along, and so they see each other in a nicer way, I guess, than you would traditionally think if they were just swiping on Instagram. And I feel like for guys, there's like a bit of truth to that as well, or at least like there are some women who it's like, I know like a particular girl, and she's like traditionally, like she looks like typically like pretty hot, but she's a huge fucking cunt. And I'm like, fuck, I hate this bitch. And she even looks ugly to me. She just looks bad now because I hate her so much. And I feel like it happens with men a little bit. I feel like it happens with women a lot. I don't know if a woman would ever be like, oh no, I've hooked up with this guy that looks like a model, and now I can't date this other guy who's like perfect in every way, but I just can't get over the fact that he's like a 6 out of 10. That feels like a really like, it just feels like something I would never hear a woman say. I'm sure there are some that feel that way, but I feel like that's way off the norm. That's just my feeling on that.
Well, Emily, you're a woman. What's your thought?
Yeah, so all right, this is my truthful opinion, is that the way that I look at men, especially when I was dating, is their value in who they were as a person, to be honest. Like I needed to have some level of attraction to them, but it was more of a yes, maybe, no kind of box that I was putting them in as I was dating them. And the maybe box was like really wide. And I didn't really care if they were, a 5 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. Like just because that guy was an 8 out of 10 and way more attractive, like what mattered more to me is like how they made me feel, and a lot of other aspects of like how we got along. Did our hobbies match? Did our values align? Did we kind of want the same things in the future?
Here's my question though. Like, and I hear what you're saying, and I think
Yeah.
traditionally that has been the truth.
Yeah.
Stephen, I agree with you. I'm wondering though, how does that guy who's the 5 out of 10 with the belly or whatever, like how does he get in the door nowadays? The warm environments are almost completely gone. And so it's either cold approach or it's online dating. So it's online dating, the research is in. Those guys aren't getting matches. I mean, you can chime in whenever you want when it comes to this.
Yeah. Well, I was going to address the other point that Stephen made, which is that they go with the guy with the belly, but then they're not going to be thinking about the model guy that they've been able to hook up with, who was 3 points above him. Well, it's interesting because there was this poll done by the New York Post, which I'm not 100% sure on American journalism, but I'm pretty sure it's a left-wing newspaper.
Just to be clear, New York Post is far-right newspaper, but go ahead.
It's a far-right new. Oh, okay.
New York Times, I think you're probably referring to.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Left, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I wasn't 100% sure on that one. But anyway, it did this poll, and it found that less than half of women say that their husband, the person they marry, was the best sex that they ever had. So that's less than half. In other words, the majority of women nowadays getting married, the best sex that they had was, some random guy that they hooked up with, or an ex-partner that they had. You get the idea.
I normally never, ever, ever do this, and if you don't have it, that's fine. I don't like to be like, source. But I had somebody make a claim like this, and I tried to find that poll. I actually just talked to somebody, it was either yesterday or 2 days ago, that made the same claim. I tried to find that, and I couldn't find that anywhere. When I went digging for stats on that, like who was the best sex or what was the best sex you had, the closest thing I could find to that number is, I think like 52% of couples said that the sex had decreased or was worse in their relationship after they'd had a child because of like all the stresses that went along with that. But I couldn't find data that said that like 50% of women had. So, and you don't have to do it now. I would just be curious if you could find it at
Destiny,
some point.
I've already put it in the in the
chat.
in the Zoom chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did. Yeah, while you was talking, I was typing in the background trying to find it because I didn't want to just pull the statistic out of my arse.
Wait, how do I find the Zoom chat? I'm a boomer. Oh wait, never mind. I got it.
I was at the bottom.
Yeah, I got it.
I
Like
wonder though.
I don't know if it has, the methodology, the like how the poll was conducted or anything like that, but the poll is in that New York Times, no, New York Post article, sorry. So it's in there. But obviously, that's like not exactly a study and
Damn, yeah.
yada,
Okay,
yada,
so I'm,
yada.
I'm just reading this. This sounds like whoever. I wonder where they pulled, like what the group of people was they pulled here, because this says 66% of, I guess, married people would rather read a book, watch a movie, or take a nap than sleep with a spouse. Did they were these like older people or people that like had been cheated on? I'm curious because damn, these sound really depressing.
It's after
Yeah,
1 year
like,
of
of
marriage,
course.
probably.
This is
doesn't
another
take
thing
long.
that I hate to appeal to this like anecdotally, but I guess like I've been like with a wide variety of people. Like my body count is fairly high. The 5 best sexual partners that I've had, bar none, like it's not even close, are the 5 women that I had a year plus relationship with. And like half of those women at the start knew almost nothing sexually. They were like complete total novices just because neither of us had like, or they didn't have much of a sexual background. I feel like sex and relationships, the longer that you're together, the more you learn the other person's body, the more concerned you're for your partner. It seems really hard for me to believe. I guess it's possible, but especially for women, it seems hard to believe that like you would have better sex over 50% of the time on a one-night stand than you would with like a long-term partner. I'm not saying it's impossible, but that sounds really hard for me to believe. I'm super curious how they did the polling on these numbers.
Well, it actually says that 52% said that the best was with an ex, not a one night stand. So I don't know what the stats is for, how many women said that it was a one night
Oh,
stand
sure.
or
Okay. So maybe it was
friends
other.
with benefits. So,
That makes
if it
more
was an
sense.
ex, yeah, that's at least got, some element of like learning each other's bodies and, things like that. But obviously the person that they settle down with, that's like, worse, when it comes to the actual marriage. And as for why that is, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll leave it to the audience on this one because, you've got your anecdotal evidence. I've got this New York Post thing. Neither are particularly good sources, so I don't think we can really speak too much more on this, unless one day if there's another study like or poll that comes along, which is a lot more scrupulous with regard to like its methodology.
Well, the thing that I would add too is I don't think that women necessarily choose to be with the person forever that they have had the best sex with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, because there's much more to a man than just
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
But you would probably call that beta bot syndrome, right?
What that when a guy is able to get a woman into a relationship or marriage through leading with his wallet.
Not necessarily, but what Emily was speaking about was saying that just having great sex with someone is not going to be the determinant factor of if they marry that person. It's going to be much more than that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
there's
of
plenty of
course.
people out there that have good ecstatic chemistry. Sometimes it's because of the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
and you can probably speak to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the best sexual experience I had was with a woman that we hated each other. I mean, literally hated each other. So I would go pick her up and we would argue the entire time over to my place because she didn't have a car. And then we'd have this amazing sex. And then we'd argue all the way back. And then we'd be like, okay, same time next week. And that's an anomaly for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's one of those things where that's where that physical chemistry comes in. But then there was nothing else in common.
There's like zero compatibility.
Zero.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that happens for sure.
Have any of you 3 heard of the dual mating strategy?
Dual mating or dual
No.
mating?
Dual as in 2. I don't know if that's an accent thing.
Yeah, it's your
2,
accent.
two mating strategies.
No. Enlighten us.
Destiny, have you heard of it?
You're not talking like K series versus R series, are you?
I think that is the same concept.
It has to do
I just
with
forgot which way round it is, K versus R. I forgot which one is the genetic component and which one's the provider component.
Oh, no, never mind. That's way different. K versus R mating strategies have to do with, do you have like 1,000 children and hope that some of them survive, or do you have 1 or 2 children and you're like very invested in the outcome? So that's something way different. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah. It's similar, yeah, but it's not exactly the thing. But it's a similar sort of concept, because the K versus R is like the man's version of a dual mating strategy. Because both men and women have dual mating strategies, but they're different. Because men's dual mating strategy is the K versus R thing you said about where um, a man, he can either like single down with one woman and be like a brilliant provider just for the few children that they have and ensure those children's ultimate survival, or he's got the spread his seed tactic where he just tries to impregnate as many women as he possibly can and just basically run the numbers game on it. So, if he pumps and dumps 500 women and deserts them, so he's not going to be their provider. He's just going to hope that still like 50 of those women are able to raise their child and have them not die of starvation. So that's like the guy's dual mating strategy, whichever one he can do depending on his value. But the woman's dual mating strategy is that they want two things. They want the good genetics from a man. They want good genetic material, so strength, fitness, height, like good facial attractiveness, like good health indicators such as clear skin, a symmetrical face, things like that. That's the genetic component, but then they also want the providership component, which is how many financial resources a person has. Like if he's would he like instill good values in the children, things like that, things that would actually develop the children after the fact that they are born. And the argument is that women will want to sleep, like they have more sexual desires for chads, because they have like better genetic like appearance. They look like they have better genetics, but then they want to have the provider in some beta guy who has a lot of financial resources. So that's the dual mating strategy, is that a woman will sleep with the Chad. That's like her stronger desires for him, but then wants to have a relationship with the beta because he's the one who's actually got this provider, thing going on for him.
Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I think we all probably have like our optimal, like there's a lot of guys that probably wish they could marry like 3 wives, like have one that cooks and cleans, one that's like the sex master in bed, and then another that like takes care of, like I'm sure like everybody probably has like things they wish they could get that you usually can't find in one person. I probably wouldn't disagree with that.
So
Todd or Emily?
I think though that's one of the issues though that is happening is that because of women's liberation, which on the most part I think has been extremely positive, but I think it's almost gone too far as being able to kind of engage in large scale hookup culture, which then interferes with their ability to pair bond long term. And so they the kind of age old adage would be kind of partying through your 20s and then getting to the point where the wall starts coming, and then you decide to find somebody that is a good provider. So the way I heard it one time, I'm not sure what podcast it was on, but essentially it was that like if you took a 22-year-old woman and you asked her what the list of things she would want in a partner, it would be gigantic. But by the time she's 32, like most of those are going to drop off, and they're going to want someone who's like a nice guy and has a job.
I mean, it makes sense if they're still in the dating world for quite a few years and they're not having success, that they're going to become a little bit more realistic.
Isn't that kind of like the story of everybody though? Like, do you not like like when I hear like a 22-year-old like guy or girl tell me like, oh, this is exactly what I want in a partner. No offense, but like I roll my eyes. Like you've dated, maybe by 22 you've been in maybe one serious relationship. You haven't even lived with your partner. You have no idea what you want, right? Yeah. But then as soon as people like get a little bit older, once you've got like 2 or maybe 3 like serious relationships under your belt, now you have like a much better idea of what it is exactly that you want, and the kind of person you're trying to like build your life with, right? Like I'm sure if you like got a lot of 23-year-old guys and asked them like, what kind of woman do you want? Here you've got like a really good provider. She's like really smart and funny. You get along really well. She can, and then on the other hand, you've got a woman with like huge tits. It's like tits and ass. Boom. Like they would choose it. Like a ton of people would be like, yeah, 100% that's what I want. But then like once you get older and mature and you've had a variety of things, you kind of realize like more what you want in life just because you've been there, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
I have a
and-
question, and
I
I have a
don't know,
question.
though. I don't know.
Can I just ask one question? Because this
Sure.
sounds like
Yeah,
you
sure.
know evidence going against what you've just said, but I'm not 100% sure why. So I'd like to hear your opinion. Because the average age of marriage nowadays for men and women is only like 1 year apart between the two, so it's basically the same. Is like I think it's 29 for females and 30 for men, but 50 years ago it was 20 for both basically. So they were both getting married, you know, pretty much as soon as they like reached adulthood. And obviously, you know, while the age of marriage has been increasing, you know, which following your argument, Destiny, would make it sound like, oh, people have more time to figure out what they want, you know, date around in their 20s for a bit and then find the ideal partner, you know, make a more wise choice. While that is happening, the rate of divorce has also skyrocketed in that same time. So, what my point is that 50 years ago, when people were getting married at 20, almost no one was getting divorced. But nowadays, people are getting married at 30, and divorces are at an all-time high. Why is that?
I feel like these are conversations I think that demand like a lot of prying and nuance to figure out what exactly is going on. I think that people are very quick to say like, oh, people are getting divorced, therefore either women are evil or men are lazy or whatever. Like people will jump to like whatever their particular pet project is for how they see society. That's going to be like the single explanatory factor to explain basically why things are the way they are. I think that the reasons why people are getting married and divorced at different rates are a lot. There are a lot of reasons. So one factor for marriage is highly predicated, and I think has been historically, on people's financial success. So for instance, if you're 22, you've got a ton of student debt, and you still live with mom and dad, you're not getting married. It's not happening, right? Whereas like prior to maybe like 20 or 30 years ago, you could get a GED, work in a trade, like there wasn't as much stuff to buy, like you could be relatively financially settled at like 19, 20, 21. Like now you're in a stage in your life where you're kind of like looking for a partner to marry and settle down with. I think you see time and time again. I think I could dig through numbers if you're looking for it, but I'm pretty sure that when it comes time to getting settled down and getting married, I think that the economic status of both people is one of the highest factors into figuring out when that's going to happen. So millennials not being able to buy homes means it puts off their ability to get married. People not being able to just move out in general, even to do apartment, puts it off. People having a lot of debt, like from student loans, and not getting enough in their jobs yet. Like these types of things put off marriage. That's one thing. A second thing is, and this is something that also gets more complicated. I don't always know, or it's hard to say if a higher divorce rate is good or bad, because we don't know if the marriages prior to that were good or bad. So for instance, you might have a society where the divorce rate is really low, but a lot of people, or women especially, might be miserable as fuck in their marriages, but they don't work and they have children and they're basically trapped and they can't get out. So in those societies, you know, like, well, you know, it is what it is. Like, you know, you're fucked. You're kind of like locked there. Whereas today, maybe with reproductive freedom, you don't have to have children as early, and with career freedom, women work, maybe you have the ability to exit a bad relationship earlier. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. It might be that like, no, the higher divorce rate is actually showing like a breakdown in social cohesion, or women are fucking too many chads and now they're not attracted to their husbands anymore, or et cetera. They're, like, those could be issues too. But I'm just saying there's a lot of factors that go into why we get married, why we divorce. And just because people are getting divorced, it's not necessarily bad. And just because people are getting married, like in shotgun marriages, somebody gets pregnant at 14 and they get married, that's not necessarily good. So yeah, I'm just like tossing that out there, I guess, for consideration.
But before Todd and Emily respond to that, can I just ask one follow-up question? Like, I agree most of what you just said. I think most of what is valid points, but I think you miss the elephant in the room. How could you say all of that and not once mention alimony, the welfare state, or you know, divorce, like the money bags that follow?
Because alimony is only paid out in like 10% of relationships. That's an issue that gets paid way too much attention to. So alimony is a non-factor. I wouldn't consider that to be a huge thing that's affecting the trends. Welfare, I don't personally think that people make decisions based on the welfare they'll receive. I don't think there's ever been in the history of the United States a woman who's like, you're a really good man and I would marry you, but I'm going to get paid so much more money if I just live off of welfare, right? Those lives suck. There are no welfare queens that are, you know, living lives of luxury because they're getting their, you know, earned income tax credit boost because they have two dependents and no husband. And then I'm sure there are like some people that make decisions about this, but I don't think that like welfare is explanatory for people's decisions. I've never bought that before. I've never seen good evidence for that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'd agree with that as
I
well.
agree with your first points too, on that there's multiple factors that go into marriage and divorce. Totally agree with all of that. And I don't think that alimony or even child support really plays a huge role in making the decision to divorce somebody. I think that there are a few cases out there that men have spoken to where it's like they're getting divorced and their soon to be ex-wife monkey branches immediately to somebody, that earns a good amount of money and can provide for her and the child completely, but then he is left, still paying child support. So she's got, then that and plus some. So she ends up doing pretty well. But I think that's the
Yeah,
exception.
well, I think, but it's one of those things where, because women are in such equal par, I don't think that the laws have caught up yet, as far
Right.
as, especially child custody.
Especially child support
Yeah,
custody. It can be 50
yeah.
50 and he still has to pay her child support.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Exactly. And so, but again, we're in 2022 right now, almost 2023. That I think those laws should be adjusted.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, those are going to be those are hard ones. For like good conversations with child support, alimony and stuff are always interesting to me. Those are good to have. But again, I think that's something where a lot of people miss the mark when judges and courts are thinking about child support or custody arrangements. A lot of people come at these from the like what's fair between the father and mother. And from that perspective, I think a lot of people feel like fathers are getting completely fucked by family courts. But when a family court is making a decision, the family court is only ever interested in what is the best outcome for the child. That's the only thing the family court is interested in. Now, people want to change that and look at, well, we're not necessarily as concerned about the child. We want to make sure that the parents have some more fair or equitable arrangement as well. That argument can be made, but I don't think a lot of people realize that they're making that argument. So, for instance, one thing I hear a lot is like the difference in custody awardings after divorces. And people get upset because mothers are oftentimes the ones that are favored in those hearings. But the reason why is because even if both parents are working, if the mother has spent, if the child has spent like 80% of their time with the mother over the father, like the court is going to look at that and the court is going to give the mother a more favorable custody arrangement than the father because the court sees the mother as being like more of a caregiver to the child than the father was, even if it feels unfair to the father. I think that these are things that get factored in a lot, that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to sorting out custody arrangements, just from my personal perspective.
That's true, but I think that just to double down a little bit more on my point, I think the main argument, and this is kind of getting into the whole MGTOW sort of idea, that a lot of women who are married today with children, they're basically, left with a choice. They can, and this sounds like quite crude, but they can divorce and essentially have their retirement plan set out for them 20, 30 years early, and just raise the child while the man, provided half the assets as soon as the dotted line for the divorce papers is signed, and then potentially alimony on top of that. Or, she can stay in the marriage. As for what's best for the child, I think what is definitely best is if the couple stays together. I think having this incentive for a woman to divorce so she can get this financial benefit is like really perverse. Like, have you ever heard of that quote? Show me the incentive, and I'll show you the outcome. And
yeah, but
just to make one further comment, as in, the reason why I think that it's best for like the best outcome for the child if the man and woman stays together is because when you look at children that are raised by single mothers, they're basically performing worse in every single metric. They're more likely to earn less money as they get older. They're more likely to drop out of high school. They're more likely to end up in jail. They're more likely to do drugs. They're more likely to smoke. They're more likely, basically every metric. Children raised by single mothers are a mess.
Okay, I don't believe that people en masse are making decisions relating to child support and alimony. I don't think that happens. I feel like this is like, and I'm not saying that you do this because I haven't seen your content, but I feel like there's this like cartoonishly evil version of like women that are put forth as these like maniacal, like, if I divorce my husband now, I'm going to be fucking set for life and I'm going to fucking destroy his life. Like, it feels like this image is put out. First of all, a lot of people that get divorced don't even get child support, okay? Because the dad just might not have the money to pay it. Secondly, I'm pretty sure the average child support payment in the United States is $400 a month. That's not enough to retire at 35, okay? And again, to reiterate the earlier thing, alimony goes out in 10% of relationships. Alimony is not a factor for the vast majority of people getting divorced. And I know people like to cite like celebrity cases and shit, or like, I think Kanye West has to pay like $200,000 a month, but these are like exceptional. There's a whole bunch of other contract law that's going into this that's not just like the norm of child support and alimony. Single moms or people that live off of welfare or child support, again, are not living glorious lives. Like, I think if we lived in a world where, you know, like you go outside and it's like, oh my God, another single mom driving a fucking Lamborghini because she's, you know, cashed out so much in her child support. I'm like, this just doesn't happen. Like, we all know what, and it's irritating too, because like, you've got people like Kevin Samuels and other people in the Red Pill community who will, I posed this question to, I think Fresh and Fit when I was on their show. I was like, the way that you guys talk, single moms should be the goal for every single guy in the dating market. Why wouldn't you want to get with a woman whose entire life is being paid for by another guy that like you can just date and like cash out on? Apparently she's got his house, she got one of his cars, she's getting like all this money in child support. We all know how single moms live. And then you just said it yourself, right? Like, the outcomes for children of single moms are not that good. How is that possible? They're getting all this money in alimony and child support. I don't like that caricature. I don't think it's true. I don't think there's data to support it. And I think if we just look around, I think we kind of know that's not true. Oh, and then on the final point too, that dads and moms that stay together produce better children. I don't know if that's true. I know that healthy families produce better children, but I don't know if a dad and mom that fucking hate each other and stay together, I don't know if the kid's going to be better off in that situation, or if the parents amicably split and then figure out like a custody agreement. Because I guess it'd be interesting to find people that have lived in those like hatred households to find out how they feel. I know a lot of people whose parents split, who they're like, yeah, my mom and dad fucking hated each other. You know, it was better afterwards. And I know some people that have lived in those like really fucked households who are like, I wish my mom and dad just split up, because these people are like constantly at each other's throats, and nothing is worse for a child, in my opinion, than a mom and a dad that are fighting in front of the kid all the time. I feel like that is one of the worst things to put in your child's mind. But sorry, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me jump in here real quick, just because of all my experience in therapy. Actually, one of the kind of rules we have, which I agree with you, Stephen, is that it's better to come from a broken home than to live in one. And I think that that's probably what ended up happening in past generations, where there's a lot of families that stayed together and were raising kids. And, you know, again, I don't know, maybe you have a stat or something like that, you know, but it's so difficult to determine how many people came from those types of households and ended up succeeding or feeling, you know, having a good life.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with you in there, because I think that's a percentage, and that's probably what happened before the divorce rate increased significantly. Was there's a lot of people that were staying together because of the kids, and the women had nowhere to go, so they got raised in these households that and they're also modeling for future relationships. So if your parents aren't touching each other, there's no nurturing, you know, on either side. It's one of those things where that's what you learn.
Yeah, everyone thinks of like volatile relationships right before divorce happens, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just a really cold environment, and you know, parents are just trying to stick it out until the kids are out of the house, and then they end up divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I think that research will be interesting in the next few years, because I think that more people are getting divorced and learning how to co-parent in a healthy way. And I think that those kids are going to be showing up a lot differently than the kids that are being researched from years ago as a result of divorce. Because I think those divorces just probably had reached a point where it was so unhealthy between the parents that both parents were willing to do it, and the woman was willing to leave because it was like that toxic.
Sure.
You know, I think that those kids are going to be quite different. Coming from a personal perspective, because I am divorced and I co-parent, I see it as obviously that as long as you can co-parent in a healthy way, your kids are going to be okay, and it's going to be way better than not divorcing if you couldn't work it out. I do think that that parents should try to work it out. and I think you can speak to that, that,
Sure.
they should try and then reach the point where they both decide that it's not going to be best. And I think that then leads them into a better ability to co-parent, if they've tried to work through it.
Yeah.
I think that it's really sad for kids that end up with divorced parents that have just ended it very quickly, and it's a very toxic relationship, and one parent might use the kids against the other parent, and this can come into child custody. It can also come into child support. I think that those things can be manipulated, but I don't think that's the majority of people.
Yeah. Have you heard of this nesting?
Nesting, no.
So nesting essentially is where.
Oh wait, I have.
Okay.
Yes.
So have you guys heard it?
I've heard the term before. I don't know why I'm not remembering what it is though.
Yeah.
What is
Okay,
it?
so essentially what it is that there's a household and the kids stay there all the time, but the parents are rotate in and
Yes.
out.
Oh,
I
I haven't heard that
remembered
before.
it just
Interesting.
now. So my mom recommended that to me,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "You're crazy." That was a few years ago. I
Yeah.
forgot that I had heard that term.
Well, it's supposed to be ideally for the children because then they don't
Yeah.
have to go back and forth from, obviously different households, but sometimes long school routes, that type of thing. And the parents just change. I would think that would be hell for the parents,
Oh, it
especially.
would be. But
Yeah.
talk about putting your kids first.
Yes, exactly. But it's a concept, and I don't know what the stats are, but it's happening. So it's something that I think divorced couples are working on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear that marriage thing brought up sometimes, and I was like, do you really want like two parents that fucking hate each other to like stay together for the
Yeah.
kids? Like, does anybody think that's really a
No.
good environment for the kids? That seems like a little wild, but
No. Oh, and to your point about, women deciding to divorce a man simply because she knows that she's going to make out monetarily. Like, I don't think that's true. I think that women want to make sure they'll be okay and they'll have enough for their child, if that man just walks away. But I think that that's just a line that she needs to reach up to. But I don't think that that's like motivating her. She doesn't see herself just pouring in the money. That's not the case. I think it's just that they want enough
Sure.
to survive and for their kids to be okay.
sure.
Yes, single moms definitely get a bad rap in the manosphere. I think it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Where it's interesting because single dads don't seem to get as much flack. It almost seems like it's a positive thing.
I see it that way, honestly. Like even on TikTok, and maybe that's just me, because I think that single dads are attractive in many ways because like they show up for their kids and they're doing it themselves, and like I don't know, I like that idea of
I think there's
a
also
family man.
There's also something, yeah, where like I think that if a guy sees a woman who's like really good with kids, like they don't really care. But if a woman
Yeah.
sees you and you're like playing like with your son, and they think like I think women like love
Oh
that
my God.
shit. This is like
Melts
always
my
like
heart.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm a single dad, so like I see like some of the interactions. But like something that's like really funny. Oh, this is like a cheat code. If you're a guy and you're going over to a girl's house and you want her to like fucking fall in love with you, like if she ever has like dogs or cats, if you get on their good side, it's like the easiest way into this person's heart ever. Because if they see you playing with like their dogs and cats, like oh my God, it's like the cutest thing in the world. Like it's always like such an easy. And then same thing with children too, although that gets a little bit more weird at crossing boundaries. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Wheat Waffles?
I heard a couple points that I could respond to. Like, Todd mentioned that single mothers get a bad rap in the manosphere, and I think that's for two reasons. The first one's biological, is because no man wants to date a woman who, raising a child that isn't theirs. Like, guys, have a biological incentive to raise their own offspring. Like it just seems like a waste of resources to a lot of guys to date a woman and raise a child when it's not even their genetic offspring. And the second part is the reason why single mothers get a bad rap is because a lot of guys say that they're not looking for love. They're not looking, like to date or have a relationship seriously. Rather, they're looking for help. They're looking for financial support. They're looking for somebody to, pick up where the last guy left off. And that doesn't sound very genuine to a lot of guys' ears. They would rather,
Do you think that's really the
start
truth,
from the
though?
ground up. They would rather start with, the foundations in place, and it's more authentic and genuine that way.
I think the thing that takes care of both of those concerns is a very independent single mom, right? What do
Yeah, like
what do
most
guys
like I'm
think
saying,
of?
like it sounds like from the manosphere's perspective. I know this may not be yours, Weeds, but it's something where on one hand, the single moms are bad because of the fact that they want to get resources and things like that. But on the other hand, it's also bad that women are in the workforce and doing well for themselves. So you can't really have it both ways.
Yeah, I don't agree with every argument that, these red pill content creators make. I'm just echoing the things that they say. I haven't said yet whether or not I disagree or agree with any of those points. I'm just echoing what people
Okay.
say in the manosphere.
I feel like I also like, and I understand that. So I had a friend point this out to me. There's a woman that watches my stream, and she says that like one of the reasons why women don't watch a lot of male streams or male content creators is because everything always feels like it's coming from a male perspective. Even if you're not trying to gender your stuff, there's just like a certain type of energy, a certain type of way that men talk about things that just feels like very alien to women. And I'm sure it's probably true for women talking about things for men as well. There are a lot of problems that red pillars give that I feel like are equally seen on both sides, but they'll give this like really weird version where they pretend it only happens on one side, and then they back it up with like a lot of weird like biology. So for instance, that phrase that you uttered earlier, that like men don't want to raise another woman's child, and then like we'll try to say like, well, biologically the resource investment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, doesn't make sense. Wouldn't the same argument apply for women though? Like, why would a woman want to raise another man's child if we're going by strict biology? Like technically neither one would be passing on their genes, right?
Yeah, that's actually true. I don't know why women would find single fathers attractive, or if that's even true. Like, because just me logically thinking, if I was a woman, obviously I can't, imprint myself on a woman and know what uh like the female experience is like. But just logically speaking, if I was a woman, I don't see why I would even consider single fathers, because obviously I would still want to raise my own family from the ground up. I wouldn't want to pick up where another woman has left off.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a fair answer. I really don't mind anything the red pillars say when they talk about how they view relationships or how they want to approach them. Like I'm always cool with all of it. The only thing that I run into where I start to get irritated is when people make these arguments and then they say that like, well, this is just something that evolution tells us is a reality that is inescapable. And then they try to make it sound like whatever claim they're making is like just so fundamentally rooted in biology. It is like this intractable, inescapable like facet of our realities. And I think that's where I start to get like, because it's like, well, hold on. I think there's a lot of different reasons why people might prefer a certain thing, and there's a lot of arguments from the other side that are never addressed either. So I guess here's one. Like, for instance, the idea that like men don't want to date a woman because they don't want to like be like rebuilding her if she's got like a kid, or they don't want to feel like they're like trying to rebuild her life. They want somebody that's already kind of put together. On the opposite side, I've heard a lot of women, even older ones that are in the dating market, that say like talking to new guys can be really stressful because a lot of guys act like they're looking for moms, where they're venting all their problems to you and they're like just emotionally completely immature, and it feels like you're just kind of like there, and there's like this like emotionally schizoid dude that you have to kind of like take care of. And I hear that complaint from a lot of women. So it seems like there are like problems that happen on both sides, but depending on what community you're in, they only ever speak to one side of it.
Well, I don't really hear too much, biological talk with regard to the, parenting thing, but I hear a lot more with regard to like the body counts and promiscuous women. The idea that men don't want to date women with high body counts because they think that, she's going to be untrustworthy, that, she might sleep with Chad behind your back. What's your thoughts on the like evolution arguments and biology that red pillars argue behind that?
I don't believe in the evolutionary argument there, because I think the evolutionary argument shows like the exact opposite is what I would argue. And in real life, I don't believe it to be the case either. It doesn't seem to map onto any of what I perceive to be as reality. Like the idea that like women are okay with men that sleep around, evolutionarily, that sounds like one of the least secure arrangements you could ever be in, right? Especially because from a purely biological perspective, a woman has a high investment in terms of offspring, so you need somebody that's going to stick around and take care of it. And if you're with a guy that's like fucking every 21-year-old girl that walks by, chances of that guy leaving you are going to be really high compared to a person that can stay faithful.
Well, it's the difference between, what the man and woman is looking for when they are asking for loyalty. The man's main concern is paternal certainty, because if a woman's got a high body count and, he thinks that she'll be disloyal because of that, his main concern is rooted in this idea that, if he raises a child with her, he's not going to have 100% guarantee that the child is his, because obviously the woman is obviously guaranteed that if she has a baby, the child has her genetic material in it. But the man, he doesn't know. He's completely in the dark with regard to that, unless he's like keeping surveillance on her 24
Sure, but like,
hours
what
a
if like
day.
a woman is with a guy and he gets another woman pregnant?
Yeah, but this is the thing that I was talking about, is when a woman is, concerned about a man who could cheat, she's not necessarily going to be asking questions like, oh, how many times did you sleep with her? Did you enjoy it? Things like that. That's what a man might ask a woman.
I feel like a woman would ask a guy that. No,
I think what she's more likely to ask, like, is, do you still love me? Are you going to be with her instead? Like, are you leaving me? Because that's, speaking from more like a provider sort of perspective, like resource provision, securing resources. Because if the guy leaves her for the other woman that he's cheated on with, then, that means that the original woman who's had a baby with the guy, that baby's going to be now unprovided for. He's out of the picture. But if a man, like, this is, what the red pillars say, that if a man sleeps with other women, but she still has the main woman that he's always going to give all of his resources, time, and attention to, then him sleeping with other women isn't necessarily going to impede on that.
Yeah, but there's no
I don't
guarantee
agree
if
with
you're
the
a woman.
argument
There's no
100% of the time.
Yeah, there's just no guarantee if you're a woman that a guy would do that, right? I think most women would
Wait,
assume the guys.
say that again.
I think that most women would. This is one of those huge ones that cross like just my feelings in terms of just like people I've spoken to. Like, I don't think any woman would feel secure in a relationship if the guy was sleeping around a ton. Like, they would feel like,
Yeah,
fuck,
of
this guy
course.
might leave me at
Like-
any point in time. Like, that would be the concern.
Yeah, again, like, I don't necessarily agree with the argument. Like, and again, if I was a woman, I would much prefer a guy who stays loyal rather than a guy who claims that he's high value and because of that he thinks that he can leverage his position to sleep with a bunch of other girls on the side. I'd much rather prefer the first option if I was a woman. But again, I'm just echoing what the red pill argument is when they're talking from the evolutionary arguments of the differences in how men and women respond to cheating and high body counts.
Well, this also kind of circles back to what we were originally talking about. And I'm wondering, in this day and age, what your guys' thoughts are about the availability for most men to cheat versus most women. Because of the ads.
Yeah, I think women probably have more availability now.
I would
Right?
think that's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but women have
I mean, I
always
think-
had more availability to cheat, right?
Yeah, they're kind of known to be the gatekeepers.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
again, this is one of those things where like, yeah, my apps might have changed it a little bit, but I don't think men have realized historically like how often a woman is offered sex, like always in every fucking exchange, every creepy random dude that hits on them, like it's not a new thing with dating apps. Maybe dating apps have streamlined it a bit. Like, I can make that concession that maybe it's like a bit more in your face now, but I don't think it's new. I think women have always had the opportunity available. So. Yeah.
But do you think, though, it's more difficult for men, though, than it has been historically?
Is it more difficult for men to cheat now? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into that.
What's your thoughts?
I've not actually given it much thought on whether it's more or less difficult to cheat. The only thing I could say, this is kind of answering the question, but not exactly, is that nowadays there's a lot more sexual liberation, and views on polygamy, and like things like cheating being acceptable, like, I guess would kind of tie in with that and be correlated, that it's more forgivable. Like, if we're saying that polygamy is becoming more accepted in society, maybe that would correlate with women forgiving their partner cheating more as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't got any like data to support myself, so there's not really much I can comment on this topic.
I feel like people still treat that, just like anecdotally. I feel like people still treat cheating as like the worst fucking thing, like worse than like fucking murdering somebody. It feels like when people talk about cheating, it is like the literal worst thing. But maybe not everybody feels that way. I don't know, maybe that's just the comments I read online.
Yeah,
I have a little bit more. I have a little bit more nuance. I have a little bit more of a nuanced opinion of that. What I've noticed is that when a man cheats, then like he's the worst person on earth. But when a woman cheats, there's a little bit more sympathy. Like obviously, a lot of people are still going to be
and it's the man's
berating
fault.
her. Yeah, obviously, a lot of the
Exactly.
people are still going to be berating the woman for cheating. But I still think that there's more sympathy given to her, because they'll say like, "Oh, the man, like wasn't doing everything he can in the relationship. It's partially his fault because." He needed to be there a bit more for her, support her emotionally when she needed him, and yada, yada, yada.
I agree with that completely. Like, there is zero support for a man that cheats, but there is some support out there for women that cheat.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's exactly that. There's just more sympathy there.
Even though the irony is that, again, women have more options to cheat, and they always have, but now it's streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think because there's this idea that women aren't traditionally open to that, and they are more of a relationship monogamous type, typically, as far as like comparing genders. And so people see it that way. And so they reason, well, if she was willing to cheat, why? Like there must have been a reason, because she naturally doesn't want to cheat. I
think again with sexual liberation and, maybe not to throw all women under the bus, because it's definitely not true, but a small percentage of women, just like men, used to get validation from sex. Women are starting to view that sexual encounter as a form of validation, where before it would have been something that if it wasn't in a relationship, they would have more feel ick about that or something like that.
I do think that's happening, unfortunately, because I think that's really unhealthy. Really.
Well, Stephen may disagree because you're in an open relationship, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we both fuck around. I mean, it's not that complicated, yeah.
You must get like so much shit on every stream and podcast you do with any red pillar.
Well, yeah, because now the red pill, because the new weird red pill thing is this idea that like people should have like these one-ended open relationships, which are hilarious to me. But the sexual idea is basically that like no matter if I would have fucked like 100 women and the next night like my girl would have fucked one guy, like I would be like an eternal cuck, and that's just, but yeah, I mean that's how people view it. But
yeah, that's exactly what I would expect from red pillars that you would have these like discussions with. They would just fixate on your open relationship and just never give you like the time of day on it. They would have go into it with a completely fixed mind, and just like grill you for all eternity just on this one thing, and they wouldn't talk about anything else. I haven't watched these discussions, but I would guess that's how they go down.
Yeah, oftentimes, yeah. But I mean, the problem is that the problem is there's not really much room to answer or argue about anything, because people will just view any answer you give as like a cope. So like the idea is basically that you must be like completely and totally miserable and your life is horrible and you're crying and getting cucked every day, but any answer you give that it doesn't like basically confirm that as you just coping. So it's not really worth talking about.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it worked for you, and I think that's the important thing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my perspective is obviously we both like sex, and being only able to have sex with one person to me would be really sad.
Well, it's kind of like you have your cake and you get to eat it too.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of additional complications and everything that come in with doing an open relationship, of course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, like catching feelings, that type of thing.
Well, that's the thing.
Potentially.
Like, I get asked a lot of times on my channel if I go live about, what are my thoughts on polygamy? And I'm totally personally myself, like, I could only ever be monogamous. And I think that's just how I'm wired. I understand that some people are going to be wired differently, and I don't think that monogamy should be forced upon everyone. So if it works, it works. I would be curious because I think from my perspective and why I believe in monogamy is like I think internally like I would be first of all there'd be a level of jealousy and yes a level of fear, right, that they might find a better connection and go that way because relationships always have some amount of difficulty and you could be in a bad spot in your relationship and then you're forming a bond with somebody else potentially and then what if that gets in their head and they see more value in that and they go off in that direction. So
That's the honeymoon stage too.
right,
As far as
things are always great and wonderful, your first few times with somebody.
Well, we can't speak to this though, but that's why I asked Steven as far as like, what's your mindset, coming from the,
Well,
is it just more like, okay, like I'm finding another human being that I'm attracted to and
it's like
getting off on them and
sexual,
but just sexual, like there's nothing, besides that?
I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than that. We can dive into that if you guys really want to head in that direction. This is the only thing that I would say in regards to these types of things, though, or this is something that I would caution everybody for. I like to. It's fun to break apart different social norms and see like what can change and like how could your life be different if you do things that are not the way they're normally done. That's really interesting. But I find that a lot of people that engage in that, they don't always ask the question of why were these social norms for so long to begin with. And I think that's a really important question to ask and answer. I like open relationships. They work for me. But I would say that like 99% of people are probably better off in monogamous relationships because that's just, I think, how most people are wired. I noticed today that it feels like, and it might just be because of the community I'm in, but it feels like a lot of people are doing open relationships today. Like a lot. I just feel like I almost feel like it's, I don't want to say it's the norm, but it's like, it doesn't even surprise me anymore. So it's like, oh yeah, we're open. And it's like, yeah, of course you are. Everybody seems to be. That's probably not a good thing. I feel like most of these people probably are going to run into huge problems. But that's just my feeling on it. Yeah.
You think that's the
do you not have a territorial instinct?
No, but I'm a really atypical person. Like I've lived my life on the internet for the past like 12 years in like the most like hateful fucking communities in existence. So I think that a lot of the like inclinations that I have towards like normal human behavior are like just way different. Like I have access to a whole bunch of people and I've got like a ton of shit that I can do with my life at all points in time. If I ever felt like my partner wanted somebody else, then they're free to go do their thing and I'll just either find somebody else or just keep working or whatever. Like I'm like a very like self-driven person. Like I don't really need like the external support or validation from my partner a lot. But that's just how I personally feel about things. And I wouldn't recommend it to anybody else. I don't even know if it's necessarily like healthy or the best approach to life. It's just how I personally process things.
Okay, if that's the case and there's like, no like sort of it sounded like what you were saying there is that there's like no investment minimum like required. If that's the case, then
I wouldn't say there's no investment. I mean, like me and my partner love each other. Like I don't think we're gonna like break up because of our open relationship. Like if I felt like that was a possibility, like if I was, let's say for some reason I found a woman that I really loved and she was like kind of a more monogamous minded person and I felt like that for some reason I was like, holy shit, maybe I'll give up like my kind of lifestyle for this. I'd be more likely to give it up than push her into it if I think that I'm going to like lose her because it's just not how her brain is wired. Like I think I'd be like, okay, well, we'll just both be monogamous then, I guess.
If you just said that like if she's having fun with somebody else, then you're just going to be self-driven in that instance and focus on work, focus on your friends or hobbies, anything you have going on in your life at the moment. That shows it like you're not even phased with the level of investment that she's giving or you're giving at the moment in time. So my question is like, what's the difference between the situation that you're in as opposed to just being fuck buddies? Like, because it sounds identical to me.
I think it does. I'll answer that question, but I always like to flip that question around. People always say that, like, if you're doing this, aren't you just fuck buddies? But then, like, my reverse question, I was always like, are you telling me that the only thing that makes your relationship different than a friendship is that you exclusively fuck? Because that's kind of what I hear when people ask that question. They're like, well, if you're having sex with other people, then your relationship isn't real. And it's like, is the only thing that makes your relationship real the fact that you only have sex with each other? But I understand that it's a little bit more complicated. Of course, it's just a way to flip the question around. The way that I view it is that there are like certain people in my life that are really special that I prioritize over other people. For my wife, like she's my number one priority. If she wants to live somewhere, we're going to live where she wants to live. I'm not moving in with another girl, right? If there's some like super special, awesome thing that I really want to do, like I really want to go to Tokyo at some point, I just haven't traveled yet. But when I do that, it's almost for sure going to be with her. Like when it comes to like if I've got like a friend that's really sad, that's like a fuck buddy or something, and like my wife is really sad, like I'm not gonna ditch my wife and be like, yo, I'm gonna go hang out with this other girl, like she needs me right now, sorry. Like that would never happen, you know. So like there's a feeling that I have because she's my wife and she's like my priority and she's the person that I love the most. It doesn't mean that I can't like enjoy fucking other people, enjoy like hanging out with other people. She still gets like that kind of priority slot in my life, I guess. It kind of be like it's like having like, just because I have it's a weird comparison, but like I have a best friend, but I also have other friends too, if that makes sense. Sorry, it's kind of a weird, I understand that like the open relationship shit is like very wild and weird for a lot of people, which is fine, I understand it, but
yeah, no one's judging here. We're just trying to get insight and
okay.
understanding.
I want to be judged, okay, so no, I'm just fine.
Stephen, you've been judged, like you said, for the last 12 years, right?
Yeah, true.
Well, going in a different direction, what do you think of, I caught this video of yours on your page, it was fairly recent, and it was talking about women's expectations, because I think that's another thing that is talked about a lot from men that are frustrated, especially with dating apps, is, you know, they'll say that they feel like women's expectations are just way too high. And I think that in some ways that's true. I know the video that you were speaking to, it was like a lot of women that were of I guess rich backgrounds.
The Courtney Ryan one.
Is the Courtney Ryan
that
one,
Courtney
yeah.
Ryan girl, she's a tricky one. I think those girls, I noticed this on this time, I paid closer attention because I listened to videos of hers in the past, and these girls will say some wild shit like, oh, I want a guy that makes like $650K a year. But I paid attention more this time to the answers that they were giving, to the way that they look, and I was like, you know what? These aren't like crazy, stupid fucking women. These are crazy, stupid fucking rich people. These people are fucking loaded. And I noticed it especially when one girl, I like cars, okay? Cars are fun for me. I really like my car. I've done a little bit of work on them in the past. They're like super fun. This girl is talking about like, I want these cars. I've never even heard of these cars before, okay? It's not like I want the McLaren or the Lamborghini. It's like, I want like the FX71Z Jaguar. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is. And like, I'm like, well, how much does this car cost? Like $300,000? And people in chat are like, no, that's a $2.5 million car. And I'm like, okay. Or like these other people, like, oh, I want to go to like the Maldives and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn, like have these places, a lot of these places I barely even heard about. I'm like, these are wealthy people from wealthy backgrounds. I don't think it's just like random women that she found off of Tinder that she's like, yeah, you know? And so like,
I totally agree.
Yeah. So if that's the case, like I can understand if you're coming from a family where like, if you've got friends that are lawyers and doctors, they're kind of like the poor people in the group. They're not poor, but they're like not the business owners and the from like old money kind of people. Like, then it makes sense to me why you're looking for a guy who's earning, you know, $250K a year bare minimum. Cause that's like the background that you come from, you know?
Yeah.
It does make sense. And I think, yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
So the average working class or even professional woman is going to look for a guy. It's probably her equal or above, but not necessarily, you know, if you're 22, wanting a guy to make 200 grand a year.
Now, I do hear a lot of women that say that, you know, I want a man that makes $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And even
still,
that's
rare.
Rare.
That's really high.
So I do think that there's some expectations out there that are, you know, frustrating for men to come across.
Yeah, I'm sure they definitely happen. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do see it being, you know, inflated in social media, you know. Just
Here's like, this is kind of like, this isn't very sexy, but I think this is like a true piece of advice too. This is like a tip that I give to everybody. A lot of people think they know exactly what they want, but if you actually get out and talk to people and meet people, it will shock you how wide your tastes can be. If you actually like go out into the real world and meet people. This is one of the things I caution against people when it comes to dating apps, for men and for women. People will think that like, I've got like a 72-point checklist for like, if she's conservative, I won't talk to her. If he's a MAGA guy, I won't talk to him. If she is, you know, has dyed hair, I won't talk to her. If he's from a country, I won't talk to him, blah, blah, blah. Like, people can have all these ideas built up in their head of like what the only acceptable possible partner to them looks like. But as soon as they meet a certain type of person, it could be like a super city liberal fucking Seattle girl can meet some guy who's like from fucking Iowa who's worked on ranches his whole life, but he's got a really nice smile. He's really funny. He's got nice forearms. He's like, for some reason, it's like, oh, this guy's actually like really cool. I like this guy a lot. Like, you'll be surprised at the type of people that you can get along with. So I'm always like, whenever people say things like, I want a guy that makes 6 figures, or a guy's like, I only want to date a girl who's like 23 or younger or whatever. It's like, I think if you meet the right person, I think you'd be surprised at how wide your dating desires can be. That's just my feeling of it.
I think, yeah, I hear you and I agree. I think the difficulty right now in this day and age is what people connecting
for sure
in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that there is that tendency, especially on dating apps, because I think women are seeing more matches that like they think that they can have like this really long laundry list of things that they're looking for.
Sure.
Because honestly, it just helps them cut some of those guys out.
Because there's so many.
It may not be the right guys, but yeah, it makes it more her able to actually look at them and not get overwhelmed and just jump off the dating app because she's overwhelmed. So I get it, but I think that they need to work towards kind of eliminating based on the more important things, you know, and having an open mind.
Well, and I will say honestly, here's a kind of funny anecdote. Is you know, for an experiment, I went on a Filipino dating website, and so, you know, within the first few hours, I got hundreds of matches, and it was something that, how did I narrow it down?
Yeah.
Was who was the prettiest?
Did you?
Of course. I mean, because what else did I have to go by? There was nothing else.
Oh, there was like, what about bios?
The bio is saying looking for serious relationship.
Oh, and they like all said that?
Yeah, they all said that.
Why the fuck? Okay, hold on. Can I ask this fucking question? I truly don't understand this. Okay, I noticed on dating apps. Okay, why the fuck? Maybe Emily can answer this, okay? Women write shit in their bios, and I don't even think they fucking remember they write. One thing that I used to think was like a clever strategy early on was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna make a joke or a reference to something in her bio. Like half the girls don't even remember the shit they put there. I don't know why the fuck they ever fill the bios out ever. There's like no point. If you're on a dating app, you're a guy, don't ever reference anything in her bio ever, because she fucking didn't remember what she put there. I don't know why women do that. Drives me fucking crazy.
I think photos she'll remember though.
For
Maybe
sure, photos are.
Photos.
Learning how to take good pictures is a really important skill. Like having like really nice, I notice now because my girl does the Instagram shit, like I pay so much more attention to like photos. Like, what does it mean to take a good photo? Why don't you want like 50 million people in the background? Don't chop a person's like legs off when you're taking the picture. Like make sure that they're taking good photos is a skill. Like you want to look like you're happy and you're having fun, and it's not like a weird fucking blurry pic, and you look like social. Like there's a lot of skill that goes into that. Find some Instagram girl and look at how she takes pictures and like copy that shit. Even if you're a guy, I think it's a really important thing to do.
We've even recommended getting professional photos done.
Absolutely.
Sure.
For guys. Yeah.
I was just going to chip in one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to chip in one more thing with regard to like, you know, these crazy standards that people have, like the 6 figures thing, the 6 foot, you know, an over thing. In fact, I might as well just say the whole of the rule of 6, as a red pill sphere likes to put it, is women's standards, they are drawn to the number 6. So like 6 figures, 6 inches, 6 foot, what is it, 6 out of 10 facial attractiveness and above, you know, all of those things. And I think what makes this, you know, increasingly happen is because on online dating, I think OkCupid was the first platform to introduce this. You get all of these filters, which in essence allow you to select for exactly the right person that you want to look for. So, you know, you can filter for only guys who are 6 foot and above, only guys who make 100K per year or more, only guys who are like between the age of 20 and 25. And now, you know, this basically allows people to manufacture their partner, provided that there's someone out there that ticks all of those boxes.
Yeah, I think that that kind of is a reference almost to kind of what I said before, and that like trying to match, they would call it like their 72 dimensions of compatibility, or trying to match on all those things, I think is really bad. I think it really fucks your head. And it's funny too, because like some of our preferences are even drawn by like just kind of like how the numbers look to us. So like I saw a really funny thing at some point that like I think it was showing like what women, given the opportunity to set their filter, like what preference they had for like a male's height. And it was funny that there was a huge spike right at 6 feet tall. But you know that if you lined a bunch of men up and you asked women like by height, like who's most attractive, they're probably only gravitating towards that 6 foot number because it's like nice and even. Like in reality, it'd probably be like 5'11" or like 6'1" or whatever. But it's funny that we'll gravitate towards like those like the very even numbers, and then we feel like that's what our brains are kind of like focused on, and we don't realize that we're kind of like doing like number games there. Same thing with like six figures too. Like I want a guy that makes 100K a year, when like that number means totally different things based on where you live, based on the type of lifestyle you want. But it's just we're drawn towards those like really round, nice numbers, you know.
Well, it's interesting because in Europe they use the metric system, not feet and inches.
Yeah.
And in countries like Germany, France, the height number is 180 centimeters because that's, you know, the round number, and that's equates
Slightly
to 5'11".
Yeah.
Yeah, to 5'11". So, you know, in places like Germany, the ideal is to be 5'11" because that equates to 180 centimeters.
But then another thing I found out too is that I don't think anybody knows how tall anybody is, because I realized when I got online, dude, men lie about their height a ton. I am the tallest 5'8" man I've ever met in my entire life. I tower over guys that are 5'9" supposedly, and I'm like the same height as so many 5'10" dudes. I didn't realize like how many guys have about their height. And then I've heard girls say like really dumb shit as well, like, oh, like my ex was like the best sex ever, like he was so hot, like he had like a 10-inch dick, and I was like, no, he did. What the fuck are you talking about? Like people just say like they just have like the wildest fucking things in their head because they don't even know. Yeah.
I do agree with that. I don't think women really can tell how tall a man is. I mean, I think we've recommended that men go ahead and, you know, up yourself a couple of inches in height, because then you can at least, you know, make it through the door.
Yeah, you can get in the door and then the woman won't even think about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Unless you just have to be careful though, when you start getting to taller women, the only like big disqualifier I'll say is women don't want to feel like they're taller than a guy if they're wearing like heels, like stuff like that. So if you're going to be with a woman that's like 5'7" or 5'8", if you tell her that you're like 6'1", and she puts on some 3-inch heels and she's towering over you, she's going to know that there's some shenaniganery going on. So.
Well, we would say you have to wear lifts then, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. So, yeah.
Soft look.
But then when the lifts come off,
well, you're in bed by
that's
then.
when you're kind
you're
of
good.
Screwed. You'll have to take your shoes off at the very last second. Once you get into your house, just keep them on until you're actually in the bed.
Yeah.
Be one way to do it.
Well, anything else?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
At 6:40.
We haven't really talked about social media that much.
Yeah, you know what? Going back, I think Wheat Waffles, you were making the point about Instagram and how women's sense of self is inflated based on that. I was thinking about that more, and I think that a lot of times on Instagram, women are following more so a certain lifestyle. Like they want the man that's pictured with the beautiful woman. I don't think it's as much like she's posting about herself. I think that there's a select few women on Instagram that are actually posting themselves and getting validation from the likes. And I think a lot of those are ones that, like, you know, work in social media. But I think the vast majority of women, like, there is an impact from Instagram, but I think it has more to do with the lifestyle. Like, I think that they're seeing the perfect proposal. They're seeing the woman on Instagram that is listing out the things that her man does for her. You know, she's seeing the giant ring on her finger. And I think that's honestly where some of those expectations come from. And it's less like the individual likes on her photo that she's posting.
There was a saying a long time ago that got popular that I think is really important. It's the don't compare your behind the scenes to everybody else's highlight reel. There's been a problem since Facebook first came out where you see like the best of everybody's life, and then you look at your life and you think that everybody's living this like Disney fantasy constantly. And I think that really I think that's been fucking our brains up for like the better part of the last 15 years. Sorry, I cut off.
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything relevant. I was just gonna ask for more clarification anyway. And I think that's even more enhanced by, you know, the filters that people use, and like people select the best photo from the one angle that makes them look really good, so that like inflates the standards even more for both men and women, in fact. Like
Hmm.
men who like pornography addiction is a huge problem for men nowadays, and I think that has an impact on like men's ED as well. Like I've heard a lot of evidence that men like increasingly have ED nowadays because they're exposed to like the most ridiculous stuff in porn, and women with ridiculous bodies, like in a good way, on TikTok and Instagram and so
Hmm.
on.
Yeah, it's almost like they're desensitizing themselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys heard of like the businesses? I think this is mostly in LA that like stage like the look of a private plane, and so that people can come in and pay a fee
Yeah.
and get photos, and it looks like you're on a private plane and it's yours,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just a box.
Yeah, it's just a box.
This
I
Really?
mean,
is
there's
I've not
more of
seen that
that.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
a thing
faking
now.
it. People just
Yeah.
fake.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I
This
mean, keep that in mind too when you're seeing these photos of people's lifestyles.
Yeah, this is why I don't particularly think it's a good idea for guys to take a photo in front of a supercar for their Tinder profile, because people just assume that it's fake, or like, it's somebody else's car, that you're just standing in front of your mate's car who's rich, and
Well,
it's
you
not
also
your
look like a
car.
gigantic douchebag
Yeah,
by doing that.
exactly.
I think it depends on the picture. As long as it looks nice, like just people need to practice taking nice looking pictures. There is a skill that goes into it. Like yeah.
Yeah, I think if it looks like you're showing it off, it's like just you, like very stiff standing there. That may not be a good look.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, cool. I want to thank Stephen for letting us on his stream, first of all, because we're a very small channel. We just started out. We've only been up for a couple months. It's okay if we plug it. It's the
Mhm.
Emily and Todd podcast on YouTube, and that's something that we really are grateful for, because I'm uh, a fan of yours. I've watched your stuff, and I think that you are a very intelligent guy, and you bring a lot to the table, and I think that you bring a voice of reason.
Thanks. I try
Especially,
sometimes.
what's that?
I try sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you do a really good job of it, and it's something I think that your voice is really needed for a lot of people.
Oh,
That's what
well,
I
thanks.
noticed. I mean, Todd is the one that exposed me to you, Steven. And I think what I've really noticed from the last few videos that I've watched of yours is that it's very much, it feels like it's coming from a point of view that's just full of common sense. And you're not like overplaying it, overthinking it for views. I think that you're willing to talk about the nuances, which I think a lot of people in the manosphere could benefit from.
Yeah. Well, thanks, but yeah, that open. There's a couple things where people like instantly write me off, but yeah, I try my best out here.
Yeah, and thank you for having me on as well. It's been good. I've enjoyed the discussion. I think there's a lot of interesting points that we've spoken about. And if anyone is interested in finding me, it's Wheat Waffles on YouTube. That's me.
Cool. Well,
Yeah,
thanks a lot
thanks for
the...
being here, Wheat Waffles.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on.
Hanging out. All right, yeah. Is that all?
Cool. Yeah, and we'll see you in person in a few days.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. Yes, we'll have a whole bunch of different topics we can talk about that we haven't spoken about today.
Cool.
And obviously, anything you want to talk about, we're open to it as well.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, cool. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, guys.
Of course.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, see you guys later.
Have a good one, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Recording stopped.
I'm gonna do a. I thought she was going on Instagram, or not Instagram, on TikTok, I think. But I'm doing a live show with them, and then I'm going to Omaha for a couple days. I'll be back on the 18th, but I'm gonna leave the 15th. I need to get my power working. I don't have enough. I need to move. Fuck, dude. I don't want to do it. I'm so lazy. Just hire people? No, I need to like unplug my computer and pack my clothes and all that shit. Call into the Warnock thank you thing to avoid me. I'm good. Holy shit, breaking news. How many gas stations in Manhattan? I never looked that up. I'm curious. What is the answer to that? 60. Today there are 39. Damn. What do you want?
Hey, dude, what's going on?
Nothing much, man.
I'm gonna elevator pitch you like 2 ideas that I think are really cool, but you'll probably never do.
Okay.
But first, I just want to say, can you believe that there are people that actually believe that the week starts on a fucking Monday?
Seriously, actual
Oh
fucking
my god.
degenerate fucking losers.
I don't even know how you could be that fucking stupid.
True.
Okay, you talked like maybe 2 weeks ago, you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a politics boxing event? Okay, I'll one up that idea. Debate boxing, okay? You get 2 minutes of opening statements. 1 minute, you put the gloves on, then there's a boxing round. It's 2 minutes, okay? After the boxing round, it's like a 1 minute transition, you know, to get the gloves off, to breathe or whatever. And then each of you gets like a 1 minute rebuttal, and you do that for 3 rounds until either somebody gets knocked out, or if it goes to time, is it Frank Lutz or Luntz, who's the guy that did like the focus group stuff?
Frank Luntz, I think, right?
Yeah, you could get him. I would trust that guy to be like the sole authority on who won a debate. So I think he could be like the sole judge in case nobody got knocked out. Okay, that's an idea you'll never do. Here's number 2. Okay, the Giga Chat emote. It's one of the greatest emotes to ever be created, right?
Okay.
However, it's done irreparable damage to discourse and chat. Okay.
True.
Backed into a corner, just say Giga Chad and question mark.
Yeah.
Want to be misogynist or racist for fun? Just use the Giga Chat emote.
Okay, true.
Mindwave said it best about 2 days ago. We need to reclaim soy. What we need is Giga Soy, an emote devoted to god-tier, non-emotional arguments in favor of social justice. We need to counterbalance to the unironic Giga Chad misogynism.
What would Giga Soy look like? Do we have any?
There's I have an example of it. Just Google it really quick. It's just like the Giga Chad face guy, but he's got glasses and he looks soy. Can I DM you this, or should I just
put it in chat? Just throw it in chat. What's your name in chat?
Poopy S.
Good one.
I'm tagging you. Okay. I also, my last thing, I have sensitive information that I need to tell you.
Okay.
But so I do need to DM you on a Discord.
What do you think you need to tell me?
I can't. I literally can't say it. That's the thing. That's like the definition of sensitive information.
Okay, tell me.
And now I have something that's totally fucking crashing my computer right now. So
No,
I
I added you. Tell me to type it to me. Go.
I can't, because I can't access Discord because my computer is like fucking dying right now.
Brav.
I know. Okay, I'll message you about it later.
No, do it now. It's just. It's
I can't.
fine.
My computer's fucked. Hold on. Let me. Oh, my phone is here. I can do it on my phone. Okay, did you get the message?
Oh. Why do you think? Type it in like one sentence.
Wait, do you know?
Don't worry about what I know.
You know.
I
shouldn't.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a pretty wild. That's a pretty wild idea you've got there. Wow.
I can later we can discuss how I got that idea, but I don't want to talk about that now.
Well, damn, if randos like you are getting it, then oof, it might
Maybe I'm not so rando.
You're calling into my name your connection.
No. Can't
oh
do that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right.
No.
Well, yeah, that would be a wild thing if that was true, huh?
Yeah, that would be crazy, huh?
It would be. Well.
Okay, I can't even disconnect from the call because I can't access my Discord, so you can kick me out now if you want to.
Yeah, be careful, bye.
Yeah.
What?
Oh shit, hey, what's up?
My dick.
I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
I mean, stand up, prove it.
No, I don't need to stand up. Your mom's
that's what I thought,
working
dude.
on it right now. Okay, what do you want?
Okay, you had that argument with your chat one time about
Lots
all
of
your
arguments in my chat, yeah. What about
yeah,
it?
I know about all your fucking orbiters. And Hassan, basically your chat calls everyone stupid, right?
Yeah, they do that.
So I don't agree that most of your orbiters are stupid, but let's take Love for an example. I don't think she's stupid, but she's not very thoughtful. Do you agree?
Yeah, 1,000,000% sure.
Okay, cool. That's all I got.
Wow. Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you had a nice birthday. See ya.
See you later, buddy.
Bye.
A lawler. What up?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Wait, did I just talk to you yesterday?
Yeah, we did. I got one question here for you.
Okay.
A lot of people say that dating apps kind of ruined, like online dating has ruined dating, but is there, at least for me, I think there were some benefits. Like, as you can probably tell,
Wait,
I'm
what
not.
kind of sandwich did you get today? Are you that guy?
Yeah, I'm the sandwich guy.
What'd
And
you
there's
get
no
today?
sandwich.
Oh,
I
okay.
got like, what is this? Potato wedge? It's like kind of like a poutine almost.
Okay, gotcha.
But
Okay, so I
here.
got dating apps, all that shit. What?
Yeah, so like I would say like dating apps, like the red pill community says like, or they're awful, right? They've ruined dating or something along those lines. But I would say, where would you go? Like for me, like obviously I'm a nerdy guy. You can listen to me. I played video games most of the time growing up. But like I would say like if you're not like, I'm 30, so like I was around when you would go to bars to get women, and like I did not do well in bars at the age of like 20 to 24. Like I'm not like, and especially with my friends. My friends are all very, I would say, traditionally attractive, or so like I wasn't performing well in these environments. Whereas like when online dating came out, I think it kind of, for me, it benefited me, right? Because like there were girls that I would say were more on my level that I wouldn't have met, right? Because like where would you go to meet a woman, like because like at least on online dating, that they're there, potentially looking for like a hookup or a relationship. Whereas like at a bar, they might just be there for friends. It's like so hard to approach them, or like some people say go to the grocery store or something like that. It's like it's kind of like that woman's probably just there to do her shopping, right? She's not looking to get hit on by a guy.
That's true. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's actually true. Like even being a relatively famous streamer, if I was looking for like random girls to hook up with, that didn't know about me, I don't know where the fuck I would go if it wasn't for like Tinder.
Yeah, like where would you go? Like I have no idea. Like I got the library. Like I peering through the bookshelves. I have no idea.
Yeah. Someone in chat said, unironically, if you're a nerd, board game stores, D&D sessions, war games, card games type of shit is good. I actually disagree with that because, for me personally, I don't like to pursue women in male-dominated environments because those women are usually getting pursued by every single fucking man around. Like, you don't want to try to be, like, picking up a girl who is, like, being hit on by, like, 50 million other guys at all points in time. I think that's a really, really rough situation to be in. Yeah, go to like a woman's homeless shelter. That'll be good odds. Yeah, true.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I feel for like guys that are like there's still like a bar scene nowadays, right? But like to me, like people that go to bars and clubs, you're kind of like self-selecting for like traditionally very good looking people, right? Especially if you're at the ages of 20, 24, you know, you're not really, unless you're really good with women, which I traditionally wasn't. I was generally pretty horrible when I was younger, and that's kind of self-imposed. I just don't think like where else do you go? Like I think online dating actually helped people like myself, at least in some cases.
Yeah, good point.
And then like the other thing is, what about the the red pillars? Like let's say like the fresh and fit guys, like they're older men, right? They're like in their 30s or something along these lines. To me, there's like life stages, right? There's like when you're younger, that's kind of like the time when you're looking to hook up with a lot of girls, or you're just you're experiencing different things sexually or in relationships or whatever. And then there's that age, like you get a little bit older, like let's say like 25 to 30, you're looking to settle down. Like I think that's generally pretty true for both men and women, right? But I've always thought, like, do you really want to be like, are those guys really happy? Like these 32-year-olds, these 36-year-olds, like whenever I saw them in bars and clubs, I always like said to myself, I do not want to be those guys when I'm at that age, like cruising for pussy or whatever they're doing, right? It's just like, I don't really think it's like a fulfilling life, right? Like it's like, seems kind of all meaningless.
Yeah, I think it really depends on like what you're going for. And I think this is kind of always the interesting to me is I feel like these people that are like the most sex crazed, like have like the worst views on sex. Like for me as a guy, like chasing sex still into my like mid 30s, like it's still like really fun for me and I really enjoy it. But if I was like looking for it because it's like validating to me, or it's like I don't think I'm a good guy unless I can like bang lots of chicks, and that's like where all of my validation comes from, that if you were doing that into your 30s, that would be really sad, I think.
Yeah, and that's where I think like, yeah, a lot of them it's just like validation. But I'm even surprised, even for you, like you seem like you are like a very busy guy. Like I don't know how you even fit in your schedule to have, well, I don't know how much sex you're having, but it seems like a lot. Like it's like to go through all those efforts just to, I mean, it might come pretty easy to you. But
well,
like,
the thing is, usually what'll happen is when I finish my stream for the day, your mom will message me and then she comes over, and that's exactly what's going on. So yeah, what are you gonna do?
All right, that makes sense. She is a bit of a whore. All right, that's it for me, Destiny. You have a good one.
Okay, I love you, buddy. Be careful, Ben.
See ya.
It's kind of rude how he disrespected his mom like that, but. Mod for your trains? Automatic train painter? No, I don't need more mods, chill. I think right now I'm waiting for my, oh, I need to go clean up my planets. I have, oh no, I automated a new science today. That was good. I think the tier 2 blue science, oh, I need to get my power sorted out. Yeah, I automated tier 2 blue science. Is it still working? Yeah, it's working. Okay, cool. Let me just check down here. Yeah, we got tier 2 blue science. Yes, nice. Did you research wide area beacons yet? I don't know where those wide area beacons. I need tier 2 these. These look based. Do you remember any of your PFOF research? I'm trying to understand how Citadel made money. Let's see. There are really big people that trade lots of securities so that you don't have to buy 100 or 1,000 of a particular stock at one point in time. The way that they make money is, let's say that the spread on a given security is $10 and $9. So like the asking price is 9, the sell price is 10, right? I think what payment for order flow does is, what they would have to do is they would have to guarantee you some level of price improvement. And the way that they would do that is by tightening the spread. So instead of the spread being, maybe in a real market it's 10 and 9, they'd be doing transactions on both sides where they would be paying like maybe 9.25 and 9.75. So they're making their money because they're tightening the spread, meaning they're buying for less or more than what people would normally be selling for by just a bit. And they're offering price improvement for some customers, and they're increasing liquidity in the markets by always ensuring that there's somebody else standing on the other side of a trade, essentially. That's how payment for order flow would make money. Can you define it for him? For who? Okay, now define female. This definition is infinite regressive obfuscation. Oh. Are you scarred from that one Spidertron mod crashing everything? Yeah, I am actually. Okay, can I start packing shit or something? I think. On XQC using a coach to beat his record. Uh-oh.
I had other shit to do. I'm gonna ram right. That's the last of them.
Awesome. I don't know if you already know this, but the juicer is using the actual professional coach to help him beat your Minecraft record. He also uses a bunch of mods that are valid for some reason. Would you use a coach and mods too if he took it?
Why the fuck would I use a coach? I'm the god gamer.
I had other shit to do.
Based god gamer. Okay. D&D tomorrow? Yeah, there should be. Wait, what the fuck? Why is this factory dead? Oh no, has it finally happened? I mined all the blue shit. Fuck. Oh, I have to build out a whole cuck shit here. Oh wait, actually, no. I can't build out a cuck shit here because I think this is a beryllium planet. It is. Oh, fuck. I have to find a whole... Oh, ooh, Kakami. Oh, Frost. Threat 1% and biter meteors. But it's got that good cryonite. Oh, man. Alright, well... Okay, that'll be my next project. You cleaned out a whole cryonite planet? I must have, I guess so. But it's probably, it was a small planet. Oh, no, look, the cryonite was like very small. Like how much was on this particular planet was very small. And it wasn't a planet, it was a moon, yeah. Alright, be careful. I might come back later tonight. We'll see.